Hey, everybody. How's it going out there? Oh, good. You have a nice Thanksgiving? Everybody get nice and fattened up? Good. Well, we have a really fun show today. Not only do I have these two knuckleheads that are always here, and not only do I have the other, well, RB3 is not a knucklehead, but Ben the Thief Goddard is. None of that's important. We have the former two-time movie trivia Schmoedown teams champion and my good friend Clarke Wolfe in here. We're about to get started. Get ready, humps.
On December 7th, the Schmoedown Spectacular comes to downtown Los Angeles. So does the first ever Schmoedown Fan Expo, the first ever Schmoedown mini-con, if you will. You will get to mingle with the great Schmoedown players of the past, present, and the future. Schmoedown memorabilia, new exclusive Schmoedown merch will be there for you guys. Talk to some of your players. Talk to myself and Mark. Take pictures with the belts. Take pictures with some of your favorite competitors. You want to talk movies with the Outlaw? Come and do it. You want to just have some smack talk with Kalinowski? Come and do it. What a weekend it's going to be. December 7th, the Schmoedown Spectacular and the Fan Expo. Come and enjoy it. Tickets on sale at theschmoedownlive.com.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to SEN Live, the Schmoedown Entertainment Network. I'm Kristian Harloff, and I am recovering from all the food that I shoved into my fat face. And I hope you guys did the exact same thing, and I hope you had a lot of fun. Not only do I have Brett right there, not only do I have Kate right over there, and not only do I have Ben Goddard over there, and RB3, the master engineer. I am excited because before I even launched this thing, I talked to my guest today about coming on the show, and her schedule is a little crazy at times, but we made sure that we're going to make this a priority, and she is here. She is my friend. She is the former Movie Trivia Schmoedown two-time teams champion, classy Clarke Wolfe.
Hey!
What's up, Wolf?
Thank you guys so much for letting me come in and crash your Monday show.
Oh, we're happy that you are able to do it. It's going to be a fun week, and we're approaching the Spectacular, which is going to be nuts. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about there's Watchmen stuff, and Clarke wanted to make sure, because she's like, I'm here for the whole show. Just one thing. No spoilers about Watchmen.
I'm behind one episode. I haven't seen last night's episode yet. I've been avoiding very carefully on Twitter so far.
Yeah, we won't be spoiling Watchmen, but RB3 will be doing a non-spoiler review of the episode because everyone's talking about this thing. I've seen one episode.
What?
I've seen one. I've been, the same way that I feel like you should be watching Mandalorian. That's how I am with Watchmen. I liked what I saw. I saw.
Excellent.
Yeah, these two, you haven't watched it either, right?
No. One show a week.
One show. And that's it. Why do you love this show? Because you love this show.
Yeah, because it's excellent.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm not even being like hyperbolic. It's a great show. And RB3 and I were talking before we started rolling about the way they chose to adapt this source material,
right,
picking up from the events of the comic 20 years later, however many years later. It's so smart to take the groundwork and then just run with it. You know, you don't have to know the comics. And like I was saying to RB3, my mom watches Watchmen. And it's like she, because she watched Game of Thrones and she likes high concept, drama, which is great. But the point is she's not a superhero person necessarily, but she likes
Neither's Robert Pattinson, apparently.
Oh, yeah. I'm excited to get into that for sure. Yeah. But anyway, Watchmen is great. It's really, really great.
Were you a fan of the comics before?
Not so much. I'll actually go ahead and say not so much. I am making my way through the original book right now, and I don't love the movie adaptation. I like some of it, and I love a Patrick Wilson. Who doesn't? So the fact that I'm so into this show, I think is a testament to Damon Lindelof for sure.
People are giving him a lot of praise for this one.
Yeah,
for
and
sure.
his whole team.
Yeah, because he's had some hits and misses, and obviously, but people love him in the overall, especially in the television world, with his work in Lost and
Leftovers.
That's the one to me I think is very underrated. leftovers.
I haven't finished it yet. I don't know if you guys have seen
No.
that.
Yeah.
No.
That's kind of what they're here. They've seen nothing. That's why they're here.
That's good.
But I'm sure I'm gonna see Little Women. That one.
I've seen it twice now because I'm telling you. Does Lonnie want to see it?
No, I told her that I heard it was really good.
Yeah.
And she's like,
Yeah, she
we'll
wants
go
to
to
see
that
it.
one. Yeah.
Well, I did see it in the theater. I saw it with Rachel Cushing, and then I got the screener and I was watching it with my wife, who the majority of that movie I love. The new adaptation I love. Have you seen it yet? Mm-mm. Okay, so there's only one part that really bothers me, and it's Timothée Chalamet's hair. He's got a 2019 haircut, and it's like, what? You can't have that haircut back then.
Don't
it's
keep a Chalamet down.
No, I know, and I like him. What's I don't know, Ben. I thought Ben was going to argue. You can't argue. Did you know he stole another bagel today? By the way, did you know that? So Clarke, on Wednesday, he stole a bagel from this nice little mom and pop shop. He went in there.
Coffee.
And the coffee.
We're starting already, are we? It's starting already? Not a new week. We're going back to this.
Right to it.
Okay, just let me know.
Well,
I'm ready.
Did you or did you not start the day off today by saying, it happened again, and you made it seem like it was their fault because they were being nice and giving you the stuff. You stole it
their
again.
fault.
You stole it again.
He rang me up. He didn't charge me. I sat down. I ate the bagel, waiting for someone to be like, "Hey," and then I went back and paid for it before I left because I was like, I just go up and hey, can I get a bagel and a coffee? And they're like, here you go. And that's it.
They don't do their part of the transaction?
They don't do their part. They don't be like, hey, it's $5.25.
But Clarke, let me ask you a question. If you know that this had happened once before, right, wouldn't you be aware and say this time he knew it was coming? He decided to steal.
That they weren't going to. Well, if they're giving it to him, I don't know how that's stealing.
Yeah.
It sounds to me like this is a.
We need to have Clarke on every single day. Clarke's the best. Not you two sons of bitches over there.
Give her time. She doesn't know you yet. Anyway, so it's going to be a pleasure to have Clarke here, and we will be talking about all these stories. And people have been asking because when I tweeted out, they're like, "Wait a minute. Does Clarke know about the Schmoebot?" I was like, Clarke knows about the Schmoebot.
Oh, yes.
I told Clarke about the Schmoebot. And
I feel like nobody could, I don't know. I would just say anybody who's thinking about doing the Schmoebot, they just keep it a little classy.
That's right. Go by
Keep
the
it
name.
classy.
Go by the name.
Yeah.
The classiest of. That's right. Well, I think that people know.
Just worry.
Well, listen. Here's the difference.
We don't have money for a lawyer.
Well, listen.
what I mean?
We also have very different guests on this whole week.
Yeah.
We have Clarke Wolfe on today. Bateman's coming in tomorrow. I have Bibiani coming in on for the Schmoedown backstage on Thursday. Josh Robert Thompson coming back in on Friday. Winston Marshall obviously will be here. And listen to this table on Wednesday, where the difference of what Kate's saying is today. When we turn the Schmoebot on, I'm going to test you guys for the classy Schmoebot and see how that works with nice questions. However, on Wednesday, there's no stopping it because not only do I have Andrew Guy back on the show, Dagnino's on with him.
Oh my God!
So that show in general, you can do whatever you want on that episode. So we will be turning on the Schmoebot in about 10 minutes here. Let's talk about Thanksgiving. Did you go home?
No,
you stayed here. What'd you do?
I usually
Where's
stay.
home?
Atlanta.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
from Atlanta originally, and usually I stay for the holidays. That's been my new tradition for the last handful of years.
Do you go back for in December?
No.
No, you don't. You stay here on both.
I stay.
Okay.
I love LA when
Yeah.
it's quiet. Like
I love
it's
you.
so nice.
I'm usually here for the majority of the time too. And I do the same thing. I love walking around the neighborhood and being able to drive somewhere. Normally, it's like that Clueless line. Everything takes 15 or 20 minutes, whatever it is, but not with traffic.
Right.
Like when I was driving to Burbank, it would take me an hour every day. Okay, like you are getting hit with
That's funny.
On
An
the way
hour.
over.
An hour would be
You
quick.
come in this side.
I'm just saying.
Yeah. Well,
Kristian,
you
stop comparing us.
How long does it take you to get home?
An hour and for me to get home, 38 minutes.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, wow.
That's the difference.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. I like
Also,
this.
no one's trying to go to Burbank at 12 p.m.
True.
That's true.
You know what I mean? Like,
True.
just like I'm literally the only one.
The only person. It's like one ride home. Usually it takes you 3 minutes.
I got their skate again. Getting off on the Empire exit.
It's like my daughter on roller skates. We just got her roller skates for her birthday.
Oh, gosh.
She's got the full on pads and the helmet and everything too. But she's just you know my daughter, she is a bull, and she's just running through, hits the floor, eats shit, gets back up. I was just like, it's like Rocky going into the ring every time. So what's the Thanksgiving holiday then? What do? You hang out with friends?
Yeah, I did two Friendsgivings this year. So I got a little lunch and dinner action.
Smart. Wow. That's a way to do it.
And then I did nothing for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
And how relaxing was that?
It was excellent.
Yeah, did you catch up on any movies, TV, or anything?
I actually, yes, I did catch up on Watchmen. Okay. I finally watched A Simple Favor.
Oh yeah, I like that movie.
Yeah.
Blake Lively, best she's been.
She's great
That
in it.
was the best Blake. Yes,
Yeah.
agreed.
She was
100%.
great. Yeah.
You've never seen
100% didn't see it is what I was going to say. 100% didn't see it.
100%.
That was Paul Feig, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Feig, yeah.
Did-
So I watched that.
Did you see his latest? The
Last Christmas?
Yeah.
No. I wanted to. I did want to. Clearly you are connected to the entertainment industry here. And so for the industry listening, because I know they listen to this show every day. Stop putting Christmas movies out the weekend after Halloween. Please stop doing this.
Right.
I don't know. Like, it was funny because I looked this up. There was a movie, I can't remember which one it was, but it was a pretty big Christmas movie that came out in early November and it was very successful. And that must have set the precedent.
Oh, they're trying to get the jump on it?
I don't know,
Yeah.
but one of my favorite holiday movies is The Night Before with Seth Rogen. And
good movie.
it's
Oh, yeah.
excellent. It's like made my way into my holiday rotation. Same thing, weekend after Halloween.
Because it didn't do very well, right?
And it flopped.
Yeah.
And it's a great movie.
really
and I'm
is.
like, so what? Stop doing this.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Also, I don't know. I really hope somebody from the, genius department that made these decisions is putting the movie out Last Christmas out for streaming at Christmas. I hope. I mean, that seems
Right.
like the right time to be able to access that movie.
Well, but no, it's a good point because you know why?
Take it easy, Clarke.
I know. I came in here.
This is,
Hot take.
We said no controversial
Yeah.
subject.
I know,
man.
right?
Yeah.
No.
to get political, but
boy.
Well, speaking of which, because of that, I think probably the main reason that they would tell you is now when you look at the shift of, say, Jumanji 2,
Right.
Star Wars,
Yes.
that it's become like a second summer season.
Totally.
So the Christmas movies go, we're going to back out of the way.
And Oscars as
Yeah,
well
right.
are doing their rollouts. And I my family, my mom especially, she likes to see all the Oscar movies. So she, goes out. But I'm just saying maybe it doesn't need to be the weekend after Halloween. Like
Right, yeah.
maybe let's get a little closer
Like
to
this
it.
weekend, there's nothing coming out. This upcoming weekend, like Knives Out and Frozen, will still be number 1 and 2 at the box office.
Why not put it out now?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Like
Exactly.
first weekend of December.
Yeah. So anyway.
I also have to say, we're teasing you, Clarke, because you being upset about it, because you go just please don't release it.
for goodness sake.
As opposed to these animals over here.
These douchebags!
Yeah.
These douchebags running things! She's like, just please don't. She said please loud.
Hence-
You know what I mean?
Goodness sake.
Hence the classiest. The
Classic Clarke.
Maybe consider.
Yeah. Do you know that we're taking the Schmoedown to Atlanta? We're going in February.
I read that on the internet.
We're going in February. I'm going to have to see if I can get you there as a commentator.
I would love to go.
There you
be
go.
good.
I would love to.
Do you feel a little pull from Atlanta now that there's so much industry there? Can you believe that you left for the industry? Oh jeez. Oh boy.
Gee golly gosh, I am just so steamed about it. No, it's so funny because this is my luck. This is my
Yeah.
life luck
Yeah,
is
yeah.
that I moved to Los Angeles when the economy bottomed in the late summer of 2008
Yeah.
and then the writers' strike happened
Yeah,
and then
Welcome.
The Walking, yeah, exactly. And then The Walking Dead decides to move to start production in Atlanta, and the rest is honestly and of course the tax incentives,
Yeah.
and then the rest is history. And so
Pinewood is there now. Yeah.
I think about
Tyler
it.
Perry Studios.
Tyler
Yeah,
Perry.
yeah,
Of
right,
course.
right.
Perry's the big one I'm thinking of too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's run that city forever,
Yeah.
but now he's running Hollywood out of that city.
Yeah, it's so yes, I think about that often.
Yeah.
But
Thanks for bringing it up.
Yeah.
What other regrets would you say you have in life?
Kate, throw everybody under the bus, Mulligan. Yeah.
No, but but it's a great question, and I know a lot of actors who have moved there and are doing really well. And also the cost of living is different.
Yes,
and
yeah.
I certainly would have resources in my friends and family.
Would you want to go back?
No.
See, that's why when you said that, I was like, because you even started before saying how much because you love being here.
I love LA.
Yeah.
I do. I would love, and this is like maybe a little bit of a bougie request, but I would love to have a place in Atlanta and be able to be truly bi-coastal.
Yeah.
I would love that because I love the city. The city of Atlanta is a fabulous city.
And you have all your friends and family there,
friends
too.
and family, of course, but I've got a lot of friends here.
Sure.
Obviously.
Yeah.
But
Give
no,
us their names.
Prove it. Well, I thought they were sitting at this table. But no, I mean, yeah. So I think about that. I would love. I maybe I could like book a job or something. Again, since the entertainment industry is listening, Atlanta reps. Please call. If you please, I would love to have representation in Atlanta. So, but anyway, it's a great city.
Do they have the big agencies there now too?
So
like, do they have offices?
They have like boutique agencies.
Okay.
So it's been really interesting trying to do the whole like, hey, okay, if I'm repped here, could we potentially we don't talk. They don't talk. It's, and it's also and rightfully so. But in my experience with the city of Atlanta, just in general and the industry there, they're very protective of their industry, and they don't want people coming from. It's weird because I do have I spent obviously the first however many years there, and my family's still there. But yeah, it's interesting. But no, I mean, as far as I know, I don't think that there's like a CAA branch there, or something like that.
Well, I did want to also ask you guys before we get into listen what these two characters over here did for Thanksgiving. I did want to again, if you're tuning in for the very first time, thank you so much here on SEN Live. We'll be here all week as we prep up for the Schmoedown Spectacular, which is our big. It's our Super Bowl. It's our WrestleMania. It's the big event of the year, and we will be talking about that in just a little bit. And we are not. Like I said many times on the show before. We don't have a corporate sponsor. We are independently funded, obviously, through streamlabs.com/the Schmoedown and through Superchat. So every day when you guys are putting in these questions and essentially producing the show during those segments, you are helping us every day. So thank you. Keep the questions going throughout the duration of the show. We will make sure that we will get to all of them. And in just a second, I'm going to turn on the Schmoebot here, and I'm also going to start taking all the questions from you guys before we lead into the actual pop culture stories. But I wanted to ask you, what did you do?
I want to real quick. You look like Palpatine.
Wow.
You got to just because you got like your it's
it's dark?
Yeah, it's dark.
I don't mind it.
I know.
Don't worry about it.
I mind it.
Stop
He's
avoiding
mysterious.
what you did for Thanksgiving.
I got really drunk. I texted Brett at like midnight. And I just texted him, buddy.
Turned into Pauly Shore.
She meant to say booty.
You up?
Yeah. At midnight, Lonnie goes, all right, now what's going on? What's happening? So you cooked. You did your cooking.
You hosted so many
ask
people.
Clarke the question.
Do you know what a cast iron pan is?
I do.
Oh,
See?
boom.
Nobody.
I don't know how to use one.
No, that's okay. You don't have to know. He was, pun intended, roasted for the other day when he brought that up.
By Kristian
He didn't
as
say
well.
pan. He didn't say pan.
Did he
He
say
didn't say
skillet?
pan. He just said cast iron.
He did say cast iron.
Doesn't matter. He still cast iron. He still said it, and everybody gave him a lot of shit, and,
Including you, friend.
Why are you lying to yourself? You came on to this show the next day and called him a moron. You said.
True, I came in.
Were you that drunk that you don't remember any of this?
Okay.
You stopped
know what,
drinking
that's-
on here? You don't like it when it's turned on you, do you? These two built an arcade machine.
The next day was the greatest day of my life.
Oh, what happened?
When you guys, when we came in and everybody, all the tweets and all the
Yeah.
people
they love
just,
you.
oh, it was
Well,
just
they love you.
like, that was like, I almost quit.
Just like walk off the court.
I was
Yeah,
texting you
mic
while
drop.
I listened. I'm like, I'm so deeply on Team Brett on this. I'm coming in and I'm coming for Kristian.
This is the truth. Yeah, which is
And RB3.
and
'cause they
RB3.
both-
Oh, RB3 got it from his mom.
Listen.
I apologize.
All right.
It's just that I'm rarely right about anything. So
How did your meal go?
I am like food hangover, little alcohol hangover too. But no, I mean, we ate so much. I had people from Louisiana coming to town from Oakland, and Louisiana brought like
Oaktown,
all this shrimp and like smoked meats
Shrimptown.
And stuff. And I mean, we were just constantly eating. I cooked 2 turkeys.
Oh man.
The Oakland people brought granola.
Oaktown.
Granola.
And avocados and organic fruits. And then, then
I could take that
Phoenix,
back.
tons of people in my house.
So it was white people from Oakland. Got it.
It was white people from Oakland.
Thank you.
I have lots of black friends. They just don't come to any of my events. And,
RB3 goes, not me.
I don't know about that one.
My wife actually said, I don't think that you would have many black fans for some reason.
I don't think that's true.
And I can't, but then I screen grab them all the time because I believe it was a fella
don't have
said
money for a lawyer.
no, this is good.
This is good?
I believe it was a gentleman. I couldn't. It was a very small picture, but it said, "Look at Brett looking like a snack, a whole snack," and I was like,
nice.
"Hey."
It could.
And I like Google, what does that mean?
Now you have one black fan, Brett. That's me.
That's
Yeah.
our big thing.
He quickly went away from friend. What's going on? Your camera not working?
And I got it working.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Good. We want to see their face.
Everyone wants
this
to
shot.
see
I
it.
like this shot.
Yeah, but we like
Yeah,
that.
this is fun.
You too.
Yeah, all 4.
Yeah, it's true. Anyway, okay, RB3, I think it's that time. God help us all. The Schmoebot is going to be turned on. Here we go. She's awake.
She's awake.
She's awake. She's not. We haven't seen her yet.
She's
but she'll
keeping it
pop up here
classy
somewhere.
today because I'm going to have a panic attack
There
if
she
anybody
is.
makes Clarke feel weird.
Yeah, well, anyway, ladies and gentlemen, the Schmoebot is on, and you can interrupt the show here today. Keep it classy if you shall. Remember, you have Wednesday to be scumbags because Guy and Dagnino will be on. Okay, yes, go ahead.
Can I just tell you about my Thanksgiving or no?
Oh, you said you were hammered. I thought that was it. I thought you don't remember.
Yeah, well, so we had friends come in from out of town.
Right.
White friends.
Oh,
They brought, we did a Mex-Italian
Okay.
Thanksgiving because I was hosting. I'm not like, you make 1 turkey a year. No one makes a good turkey if you're only making it 1 a year, right?
You said it like De Niro. I like it.
Yeah.
Watching the Irishman.
Listen. By the way, I've watched The Irishman.
Oh yeah, that started it.
Okay. Not liking it?
I would watch Chapter 4 of The Mandalorian again before I'd
Whoa.
watch that movie again.
How dare you?
No,
it's one of my
how
favorites
dare,
this year.
How dare
Finish your
you.
drunk story
Okay,
first.
Anyway,
We'll get into this
so
later.
my friend's one of these people. He makes us margaritas, and then then Dickie makes everybody chicken marsala. So it's like we did Mexican appetizer. Anyway, this guy, he makes these fresh squeezed lime margaritas, and it's the best. And he basically, you like have your cup down. We all have like different cups, like with different things on them. So I was like, okay.
Hot take or not, the world needs more Superman films instead of another Batman film. Just wondering, since the report that GC does not know what to do with Superman.
Huh.
Hold that then.
Yeah, I will.
because
Yeah.
do wanna
I'll
get
put a
into
pin
it.
in that.
Because that's been. I saw that report because remember there was all that stuff that was happening with Michael B. Jordan, and they're saying that potentially Michael B. Jordan and J.J. Abrams and all of this could potentially happen with Superman, and that Warner Brothers has cold feet and not knowing how to handle him for today's audience. I don't know if that report's true or not. I hope it's not because it's ridiculous. You can make Superman the same exact way he's always been. I think that he transfers over. It just depends on the take, the acting, the writing, the directing, and you can make it work. I really liked the Man of Steel, and I think that you can do things with. In general, you could switch it up and you could do something completely different. J.J. Abrams' script that he had for Superman, minus the ending of the script, it came out like 2002 was when he wrote this thing, and the ending was silly, but the script itself was good, and he had the essence of what Superman was. I think people are so scared of, well, he's such a Boy Scout, and people like an edge now, so we don't know if Superman can win. Do you agree with me, Clarke? Do you think that it could work?
Hi, Kristian and
There we
Ellis.
go.
See, there you
My
go.
buddy,
Ellis.
my dog Rocky, sadly passed
no.
last week.
Oh, all right.
Your show has helped me through this rough time. Love Kate and Brett as a duo.
Aw.
They've become my 2 new favorite people ever. Thank you for everything.
Thank you.
So nice.
That
So
is nice.
sorry about your
Great.
dog.
So-
Yeah, R.I.P.
You know, that's very sad, but I'm glad that I'm glad we can get some laughter in your life, and it's the problem with having pets, man. As much as they go so fast.
We should not do our dead dog vaudeville duo today.
Today.
I think
not today.
Today's.
But
not
this is
the-
why. So be prepared again as you get through your
fine.
point. It's going to come through.
No, I think the internet pointed out very, very, very obviously that the idea of an immigrant coming to a place where he gives back and wants to do good because there is an opportunity. I mean, and then there are billionaires who are trying to. The idea that this is not a relatable story right now is nonsense. And then on top of that, somebody else, I saw a great tweet the other day that said, yeah, remember how Marvel really struggled making Captain America relatable to other audience? And I was like, exactly.
Yeah, Wonder Woman also.
Exactly.
And Wonder Woman also. So it's like,
it's nonsense. It's complete. But here's the thing. What I think is going on is that I think people are, they don't have people involved who love Superman.
Right.
Who know why Superman matters and
completely
is
agree with you.
Classy, intelligent,
agree
great
with you.
taste in movies, a joy to listen to. Ben Goddard, this is not. So happy to have one half of the greatest Schmoedown team in history. Clarke, you were a shining light during a time of when there were many heels. Keep being the best.
That's very nice.
Thank you.
so nice.
That was a lovely thing to say.
see?
Clarke was, and I guess we can peek behind the curtain now a couple times because now that you're now officially retired from
Yes.
the Schmoedown, you and I talked a couple different times about turning you heel.
Oh yeah,
That had happened,
Yeah.
and it was very close. There was a few times that we were thinking about it, even after last year's spectacular.
Yeah.
If you guys would have lost to Who's the Boss,
Right.
that it was potential that you would go heel, but that didn't happen.
Can we see you as a heel? Can we just get a glimpse?
No.
There you go. No, she was.
No, thank you.
The classiest of class.
Pardon me.
No, it's good. There's a lot. We'll talk Schmoedown with Clarke for sure because a lot of the Schmoedown fans are going to be here to hear a lot of the past stories. Because I did a poll yesterday. I gave away some tickets to the expo and stuff, and I said rank the top matches from all the spectaculars. Overwhelmingly, the number one match was Shire Wolves versus Who's the Boss.
Oh, that was a big day.
That match was crazy. That match
That was a real big day.
I'm sure. Well, because people don't realize, because you guys are so beloved now as a team, and like there's the argument of who was the better team, the Patriots and the Shire Wolves.
Right.
At that time, that was not happening. You guys were trying to fight for like the respect. In my eyes, you already had it. But to the fans, it was like, oh, because Sam and Drew had given up the belts, you guys won it vacated dominantly, but still had won it from it was vacated at the time. Yeah. So that match, I think, made everyone go, all right, we're going to shut up now.
Agreed.
And I'm sure that's what you guys
We
felt
knew
going
that.
into it. Yeah.
We knew. We absolutely knew that.
Yeah.
Yep.
It was-
And, at the end of the day, it was like, okay, we're going to go out there and play real hard and play our best game. And if we win, we win. If we don't, we're still champs. We still were the champs, so whatever. But we also care about the game and care about the whole process in general. And so, winning that day really mattered.
It was incredible. If you have never watched the Schmoedown match, I would tell you to go to the Schmoedown Spectacular 3, find the Shire Wolves versus Who's the Boss match, watch it. Not only for the match play, not only for the stakes, but the entrance, and it was incredible. There's so much to love, and we're showing greatest moments before the show starts, and that's going to be in there for sure.
That was a nice one.
Okay, we're going to go to streamlabs.com/the Schmoedown. Oh, I want to finish your drunk story.
Oh, I'll make it quicker. I'm
Thanksgiving.
talking. I'm talking
Yeah,
to.
there's no
Clarke.
chance that they're going to let you do it, but go ahead.
No, I was gonna say basically. So my friend, he's from Sewanee, Tennessee. So he just will follow you around. He will just refill. You'll put your glass down.
That's
you'll
a
turn,
good friend.
And you'll be like,
Seriously.
I thought I drank some of this, and then you'll drink more. And so the key with kids is that one parent has to be in a good headspace. Yeah. It wasn't going to be me. So he tapped out early.
Yeah.
So in case anything happened with the kids.
Yeah.
And then they're my college friends. We ended up smoking. I have not been this hungover. The next day I woke up.
Wow.
We went for a run. My friend and I went for a run. I'm like, I just feel.
Did you
some
throw up?
point, no,
Oh,
I didn't
okay.
throw up. But at some point, I went into the bedroom to get
Everybody
son.
have fun tonight. Everybody have fun tonight. Everybody wang chan tonight. Everybody wang chan tonight. Everybody have fun tonight.
I like it. Well done.
Classy
Well done.
and funny.
Well done.
You hit the mark.
See, I think this is going to be a turning point in the history of the,
And,
of the
and
Schmoebot.
added to your story.
It-
You were definitely wang chunging.
It was wang chunging.
Okay, wait. So you went into the bedroom.
I went to the bedroom the next day. So this was the day after Thanksgiving, and I went in to get my 2-year-old to like put on a thing for him because he didn't want to watch what the big kids were watching, and my husband was making them lunch. My husband comes in 5 minutes later. I am passed out, face down on the bed. The baby's watching like his Kindle next to me, and then like 3 hours later, I wake up. And I like go out. Our friends are like, "Well, we're leaving."
Yeah.
I was the worst hostess ever.
Does Dickie listen to the show?
No, he's taking care of our kids right
I
now.
want you to do me a favor,
Yeah.
and at least this part of it.
Yeah.
Show him this.
Okay.
How dare you not take a picture of this woman? How dare you? How I would have
Palpatine.
this as a thumbnail today had you sent me this picture, sir. Anyway.
We took a picture. My wife fell asleep with her phone and was playing like this little like Candy Crush game or whatever.
yeah.
But Blake, my son, comes in and he goes, "Hey, quick, get the camera." Took a picture of her. She's like, I didn't fall asleep, and I showed her several of them on the live that she wasn't actually moving. But that's a fun thing I do. I take derp sleep pictures of her too. I'm gonna make a calendar for her for Christmas because she does. She
Are you
falls
really?
asleep like
Yeah, it's out cold. Yeah,
like
drooling.
drool and
Yeah.
just always like one derpy arm.
No, I had. See, I didn't have the luxury of being able to do what you guys are talking about. I did have a nice Thanksgiving. We went to my friend's house, and he's an ex-chef, and it was just out of control.
Kristian, I still intend to support all your buddies over at Collider, but SEN Live is on another level. I want to say thank you so much for all the effort and passion you put into this channel.
Thank you.
RB3 also want to say you're doing a great job, dude.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Right.
Yes,
Look
he
at
sure
Clarke.
is.
Clarke, you need to come on more often.
Yeah.
I know.
I mean, when Clark's on, the Schmoebot is like. I mean,
Don't
it's-
jinx it.
I know.
Yeah, jinx it.
All right. Well, thank you so much, and I'm glad because this is. Someone had mentioned this too when I was tweeting out about all the guests that we're gonna have and how much fun and excited I was, and they said, "Well, you seem very happy." I have. This is since like the old school days when Mark and I were doing reviews. This is the most. I think alive I have felt doing these shows again because it's like I don't know, just seems like cool conversations. Is kind
Hey
of shooting the
Clark,
shit. That's
you're
it.
amazing. Brett and Kate are funny as hell. Kristian is the man. RB3 is a legend. Bagel Boy is trying to stay classy.
Bagel boy.
Bagel Boy is good at stealing bagels.
Oh, Bagel Boy.
Bagel
We love
Boy.
you. Anyway, so I went to
Bagel Boy T-shirt coming soon.
Oh, we should get a Bagel Boy T-shirt.
Look, Ma, I've made it.
We but I was at this, but I did. The chef was. I mean, he's so good, and he made these.
Hey gang, welcome the classy one. Clark, been a fan since 2013.
Thank you.
Brett, how do you carry around that huge schlong weight? I mean your huge cast iron pan you tweeted out the other day. Ben stole a bagel, but if it's not a New York bagel, is it really theft?
That's a good point. That's a good point, Ed. That's a good point.
Well, one of those things is a two-hander. One of them is a
Don't trip on the way out. Anyway, the chef's food was good. So, let's get to a couple of questions.
Was
here.
it traditional?
He was, yeah. He did a lot of traditional stuff. He had the turkey, but he made these like, little stuffing pies, right? And but he's this guy who like he's a chef. So
Yeah.
to us, it's the best stuffing you ever had. He's like, nah, those are the first two batches that didn't come out
Yep.
good, and they were just like a little buttery. And I'm sitting there shoving it in my face, like helping. I'm just like, let me help you wash the dishes. And I was like washing the dishes, just
Leftover.
shoving the food in before it even started. And then the meal comes out and it's like smoked and it's like, it's just so much goodness that this guy does for food. He should have his own restaurant. He's like, I'm not good enough. He's like one of those guys where he's good enough. He's just like, I'm not good enough. Yeah, sure. Anyway, and then we had a birthday party for my daughter. I posted a picture on Instagram where my
How
wife.
did she do the candles?
So my wife is she's an artist. She's the same way like this chef. She's so good at she's going back to school for art, and she's got that eye. And she's like, you know what I want to do? I want to do this for Vivi because we made the whole thing like Harry Potter. So she got fishing wire and clear fishing wire, and she hung up each candle so it looked like it was the Grand Hall.
Great Hall.
Yeah.
And Great Hall, whatever.
thank you.
And so and then she got the sorting hat, all that, and then we got Snape and Hermione over here, and Snape came over. He was, if you know from the Schmoedown, Paulie G, my lawyer, and he came, and what a dead-on Snape he was doing. And there was one point he had these two swords, and one of the kids touches the swords and he goes, "Don't touch the sword." I was sorry.
Traveling in a freed-out combi on a hippie trail, head full of zombie, I met a strange lady.
Okay. What'd she make
She
you know?
made me nervous. She took me in and gave me breakfast.
What'd she say?
And she said, "Do you come from a
What?
land down under,
well
where
done.
women glow and men plunder?"
Oh, good stuff. Okay, I like what you're doing.
Actually, never knew that last lyric was what that was.
We haven't got any of these questions here. We want to get to these questions. Streamlabs.com/the Schmoedown. If you don't know the difference, Streamlabs.com/Schmoedown doesn't take any percentage. The Superchat does, and you can get more characters in Streamlabs. But again, we encourage anything that you can do for sure. And if you want to just click a like on the video, that is just as helpful. So Anthony Nugent, Anthony Nugent, that's from the Mandalorian stuff. And I'm moving over here to, we start with Always Sunny in Philly. Hey, Kristian, first I wanted to say I love this new network, and I'm so happy for you guys to be able to get back on your own again. I know you have the request for a city on the Schmoedown page, but I wanted to know the chance for Philadelphia. Either way, I'll see you in New York. You kind of answered the question inside of it. We have a tab on the schmoedownlive.com. When you go there, it's request your city. If we get enough requests, then we'll start aiming towards that city. Atlanta, Boston, those were cities that were really high on the list of people who wanted us to go there. Philadelphia is in there. So if you want to see us in Philadelphia.
It has to be unique requests. It can't be the same person requesting
Right.
it.
And Jonathan, who does all of our live events, he knows how to keep tabs on that stuff too. But Philadelphia is something that we would definitely look into. You know, Pittsburgh is somewhere we're looking into. There's a lot of these different places. But the other thing with Clarke, by the way, if you didn't know, Clarke has already called a ton of matches. You really enjoy calling the matches.
I do.
Yeah, because you'll be doing that a lot next season. So maybe she'll even be doing it in Atlanta. Maybe she'll be doing it in Boston. Maybe one of the two. Clarke's gonna be very involved in as long as we're we'll be doing these matches. And my brother's like a massive fan of yours. He's like, it's so good having like Clarke and Rachel on the desk because they know the game so well.
Yes.
And it's like having those it's like when you watch the NFL and it's like the retired pro who knows the game inside and out and can call it. And who do you think when you're watching, who do you enjoy watching now? Because now you're not sizing people up anymore. Now you're like watching the game. Do you have somebody that you really like enjoying watching them play?
I mean, I always am. I'm so charmed and impressed by Chandru.
Yeah, people like Chandru, man.
He's just such a darling.
Yeah.
And I can see how the people who have come before him, especially Rachel, have influenced him in terms of his entrances and in terms of his demeanor and personality, and he's always been very behind the scenes, very very sweet and walks up to you and says hi and introduces himself and checks in and all that
respect.
stuff. Yeah, but it's less about that. I'm
No,
not like Don Corleone.
No, but I mean that's to everybody.
No,
though,
but
too.
that's
he knows
what I mean.
He knows
Just
what's come
the ring.
before.
I think that's the thing is like there are some. This is a thing that the internet has found now, and so when you are playing it, there are some people who maybe don't. They don't understand that we are friendly and respectful behind the scenes, or maybe they don't put that in the forefront as much. And so I think Chandru he's lovely.
I like Chandru.
What do you think about Ben Bateman?
She's beaten Ben Bateman. She's
should have
they have a running beef.
We have a I don't have a leg to stand on. But
No, but she likes to watch him lose.
yeah.
Hey, you and Ben have the same amount of belts, so. That was for that shot. He just took a shot at me at Twitter and said, Ben the Bagel Boy is going to stick. So, you know what? That's for you there, Ben.
No, that match was awesome, you versus Ben, because that was one of those things because it was right before that big. She's beaten him twice.
Listen, and if Ben were here right now, he would be like, well, I've run her stats. And listen,
no, not to
she's
Clarke.
overrated.
No, not to Clarke. When he says that he's just.
He says it about Bibiani.
But that's different because with Clarke and Rachel, you listen to him talk about the Shire Wolves, and he was legit shook after that match because he says to me all the time, he's like, it was just a great match, and they won the match. Yep. He's like, there's no controversy in it, anything too. And
I think also you get to a place where, and this is not specifically about Ben, but in general, you can tell when people get to a place where they really, really, really want a belt.
Yeah.
And so they get in their own heads.
Yeah.
And I'm not the type of player who comes out and is like needling, but I will say that when I saw that happening, it was real fun for me to just.
Well, because you were in that position for a little bit with the belt, though, too. I remember, like, when it was coming up, because it was Riley and Clarke were teammates, and Clarke had a shot at. Clarke had gotten herself up the ranks so many times, but was that close. And then she got there and won it twice. And so, like you said, now there's only. Ben Bateman is the only one because Andrejko's now had a title. Him, and now there are other players like who have come below him that are newer into the league, like Janine the Machine, but she's like so new that eventually she'll get there too. But Ben has been in the league now for a bit, and it's haunting him. Mm-hmm. It's haunting him.
So don't look at her. Yeah. So don't let it get in your head, Ben. Whatever you do.
Whatever you do. All right, the Dr. Cog. How can I submit a Schmoedown shirt design? I love you guys. I'm actually glad that you asked that because a lot of people, I've seen people, like the Looney Bin right now have exploded onto the scene. People love the Looney Bin, and I understand why. I think they're the best characters, overall characters that we've seen since Team Action. They don't break character at all. They can play in character, and it doesn't hurt them. As far as the T-shirt designs go, I have some things in store for next season, so I haven't been putting in new designs. So people are like, how come I don't have a shirt? How come I have to do this? I haven't gotten my own shirt. I'm doing things differently next season, so I don't want to go out and put shirt designs out now because it's not going to work the same way, and that shirt might not be available. So that's why I'm not taking any submissions for shirts at the moment.
But I will be hand making my own to sell for a little side gig.
Yeah. So Joel Godina, I prefer my name pronounced like Joel Monique. Anyways, I saw The Irishman over the weekend. It was overrated.
Oh,
look at you.
There's my soulmate.
It had some great scenes, but it was too long. But I couldn't help but think the whole time how great James Gandolfini would have been in it. Oh yeah, he would have been great. And I love the movie.
I'm with you. So far, I haven't finished it yet, so full disclosure, but we've seen this so many times.
And can we just the de-aging?
Ooh, the mouths.
Is just the why not cast some up-and-comer as young. I mean, like, movies do this all the time where there's different actors playing.
Like The Godfather Part 2 with Robert De Niro.
Yeah.
Like, yes. Come on.
Yes.
The scene where he beats up that guy outside the store was so painful to watch because he's not connecting anything. And then we just like stomping on him. It's like, that was... you needed to shoot around him. I realized you want that one single overhead shot.
That scene got me too.
That was so bad.
That was the one scene. I didn't mind a lot of the de-aging, but that one, you can't de-age.
Blue eyes, the de-aging.
You can't de-age movement.
And Pesci keeps calling me, kid. And
that was
and Dickie's like, at
bizarre.
some point, I'm waiting for Robert De Niro to be like, listen, I'm 84.
Thank you, because I was watching, like, I was like,
kid.
how old is this guy supposed to be? How old is he supposed to be?
He has a baby. Dickie's like, he's his grandfather at that baptism. He's like, that's so cool. He's a grandkid. I'm like, that's supposed to be his baby.
I bring this up all the time, but in the Mummy, the most recent Mummy movie with Tom Cruise, where Tom Cruise should not have been playing that part. In fact, the two male roles should have been switched. They kept calling someone, I think, at one point, and if I keep saying this, so if it's wrong,
Russell Crowe says it. Says you're a young man.
Young man. I was like, he's 50. and that's okay. But like, who do you think you are fooling?
I have another one that I think is even worse. In the 1950s, animated Cinderella.
Oh.
So the mother, Lady, you know the movie well.
Yes, I do.
So Lady Tremaine at the end says, "Young man," to a guy who's got a gray wig on and he's bald underneath it. How is that young? Get your eyes fixed.
That is a weird call.
It's like, young man, come here. It's like, young man.
I wonder if that was like an animation issue.
It was maybe the character was actually young at first, and they said, let's just put in a goofy old dude with a thing. And
You've been holding on to that one for a while.
Yeah, right?
The answer to that is yes. I found my way in, Brett.
Finally, the Cinderella reference.
Sweating, going, how do I bring out the young man reference on it. Wait a minute, they're talking about De Niro. He's old. But yeah, The Irishman's really good. Okay.
I'll tell you what, I have to say, questionable. Thank you. I also said well, thank God it's not a superhero movie. That's because honestly, this to me, Avengers Endgame is definitely better than this movie.
Wow.
Also, can I just say that to your point, I was just talking about this with somebody. So if the criticism of the superhero subgenre taking over is that we're being inundated and also there are too many similarities between the films, I'm watching the first hour of The Irishman and I'm like, so is this the part in Casino when this happens or the part in Goodfellas when this happens? My point is just hey, buddy, maybe you have been making mostly the same movie for a zillion years and people keep showing up for it. So fine, I don't care. But I'm just
but you
why?
can't flex.
That's right.
Can't flex.
No
That's
flexing
right.
here.
Yeah.
No flexing.
No, sir.
No.
You cannot
See, this
flex.
is what this
With
is
all
what.
due respect, Mr. Scorsese.
See, this is the thing though, is that where you guys are making very valid points, and it's I really like The Irishman. I don't disagree that there's a lot of similar stuff. The opening scene alone with the music is very similar to a lot of other stuff, but I like that. I just wish that none of this stuff was attached to any of these comments that he made.
Exactly.
Because no one would be talking about this
Agreed.
right now at all. It wouldn't be like, hey, wait a minute, this is so similar to everything else, and it takes away from the movie itself.
He
No, he
shouldn't have made those
No.
comments.
I
You know
agree.
what I mean?
I agree. I agree.
Because now I'm going to take a fine-tooth comb and go over what you've done.
Because he
sir.
kept going back and leaning into
That's
it.
the problem.
And
It's
it's
like,
and
just stop.
It just
Yes.
and then everyone else was getting in on it, and it became like I'm not even going to get into it. And Josh Trank's comments over the weekend and all this stuff.
I was gonna say Scorsese could talk, but Josh Trank
I've had conversations with Josh Trank, and I actually I was on the phone with him for over 2 hours. And no, I was and
Brag.
no,
Yeah.
when all this stuff was going down with Fantastic Four, he and I spoke for when I was on AMC, and he wanted to have and it wasn't any stuff that was supposed to the details of the conversation. I'm not going to talk about because it was an off the record conversation.
It was a lot about the 1950s Cinderella.
That's exactly what it was. He's making a remake of it, but I liked talking to him, and he didn't seem like this incoherent lunatic that people make him seem like he's going to be. He puts things out there. He's another person who sometimes tweets and then goes, whoops, shouldn't have done that, because that's what he deleted all his comments. I like Josh Trank, I really do. But I think that he's another one. It's just, you don't have to jump on this thing. It's just just stay out of it. Everybody just needs to just enjoy the movies. You either like a certain movie or you don't. Don't go see it. But it's the second you start talking about this type of stuff now. You just heard from Clarke and Kate. The focus is more about, well, you just said this, and this is what I take out of your movie, as opposed
All
to just
you
enjoying it.
Bateman and co-marks take note, only the classy one will truly humble you after Schmoedown match. Loving the show so far, Brett. I need to know your recipe to make a
What?
schlong sandwich on a cast iron skillet.
Yeah, you got to start with a really hot pan.
Yeah.
It's not sizzling when you hit it in the pan, and your
Season it
pan's not
first,
hot.
right? Season
Season,
it with
lots
some
of
sort of-
seasoning.
yeah.
Yes.
It makes sense. Okay, good. But no, it's true. It's like where you have because Kalinowski. That's right. You've had the better of both of those two.
Yep.
Did you beat Kalinowski twice or once?
I think only once.
It was a good match, though.
It
It
was
was like a
because it
sudden
went into
death match.
overtime.
Yeah.
It was by 1 point.
That's when he just started, and people. That was kind of like the beginning of his resurgence. It was that first in that match. It was a number one contender match. It was Kalinowski. That's her
Yes.
favorite.
We were in the tournament.
That was that one.
Bibby's my favorite. But
Bibiani's your favorite?
Yeah.
That match was
I'll take Kalinowski over Bateman.
Yeah, that was the number one contender match. And that was what got you your shot to Sam Levine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Take your word for it.
Yeah, take my word. But it was anyway, that match was incredible. Yeah, but you've beaten Kalinowski.
Were
you've
you and
beaten-
Rachel friends before? Or did you guys get put together?
I actually was sitting next to Rachel.
Spectacular one.
Yeah, during a match and listening to her answer all the questions under her breath.
Yeah.
And I was like,
yeah.
and so I ran up to Kristian and I was like, she needs to play and eventually be my partner.
Yeah.
And so that's how we got to know each other. But yeah, I mean, I heard her and I was like, oh, she has to.
She's
get
like
into
Rain
Yeah,
Man.
well, because she
Yeah.
was. I knew her from. She was an editor at Bachelor. I was a producer, and we would talk movies. So, and she was just there to. She used to write for Schmoes, and she was just there to watch the matches. She had no interest in being on camera.
Crazy to think of a
I
time
remember-
before Rachel Cushing was.
No, I know. And
competitive.
I know exactly where I was standing when I felt Clarke pull on my shoulder. She goes, your friend Rachel needs to play. You have to get her to play. And I was like, why is she? Because she's answering everything, like every match, everything. And I was like, yeah, but can she do it in front of the camera? Like you said, find out. And then we cut because Clarke at the time was in a team with Riley, and then Ken brought her into the league, and then she became Rachel. And then at one point we said, because they had broken up, and then Wolves of Steel, Riley had stepped down, so we said this might be the time, and then hence the Shire Wolves were born.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
She's really good.
Yeah, the whole. I mean, you guys just it was the strengths. You both had different strengths and weaknesses. It was so and I've never seen a team learn how to play the game together so fast. Because when you started, because you both were good individually, but putting that kind of the strategy together and watching that happen. And I think, and Emma and Mark and Draco being part of the Fife Club certainly added to that too, because that faction almost became even more powerful than like the Lions Den did.
I agree.
What do you think about Emma being a manager again next season?
I love it.
Yeah.
She's a great manager.
Yeah.
She's a great manager, and she's going to be really, really helpful to whomever she is managing.
Who would you think if you were managing, if you were that magic number 10 spot, if you were managing, who do you think would be some of the like if you could draft anybody, who would be your top 3 picks of people that you could draft?
Gosh, I don't know if I could even answer that, because I think, but what I would say is that I think there needs to be a nice combination of fresh faces and veterans, because I think that there's something to be said for taking raw ability and coaching you through like your nerves and, having the brain salad and all of that stuff. And then also having like people who have been in the game for a while who you want to help close essentially. Yeah. Because if you can, that's what Emma was so good at, was she was good at like removing herself and looking at the two people and saying, okay, here's how you do it. Here's what, and so I think that if you could, for instance, like if I were managing, well, we were joking about it earlier, but if I were managing like a Bateman or a Kalinowski, you can see them in their head so much. And like that would be something that I would actively work on with a player like that, is like, slow down. That's what we would say all the time. Yeah. Just slow down.
I think that's what Roxy did with the Odd Couple this year, for sure.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's get over to, once again, this is from Joelle Godina. I know you're trying to make the Schmoedown more family-friendly, so it makes me laugh every time I see Andrew Guy, the picture in the corner, flicking everyone off. Glad that
Well,
Clarke...
it depends on what kind of family you have.
Which one is he in? Where is it? I don't see it. I don't know which one. But, he does flick people off a lot. Joe Godina also says at the end, I'm glad that Clarke could finally make him the show. Me too.
Thank you.
PC, hello, Clarke. Just wanted to say, love sending in the Wolf.
Oh, thanks.
The one you did with Hector was my favorite.
Oh, thank you.
What's going on with that show? Tell people where to find that show if they didn't know, by the way.
Great question. Okay, so my podcast is called Sending the Wolf, like the Pulp Fiction quote. And you can find it on all the things. It's on iTunes. There are 60 episodes available.
Wow.
And it's just I self-produced, and I did 2 seasons. Hector's episode was he chose Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. So the premise of my podcast is any movie on any AFI list. So it doesn't have to be the classics. It can be thrills. It can be romance. It can be scores. It can be villains, whatever. And you pick that and we talk about it, and then in the end you pick a movie that you would add to the list, and we talk about that briefly. And Hector picked Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs not because that is his favorite movie, but he wanted to segue into animation and do like essentially the unofficial animation episode. And we talked, and of course because it was Hector, we talked about superheroes and we talked about animation in general, but it was I love that episode with Hector, and have since been on his podcast twice. So
I like the Raiders of the Lost Ark one.
Yep, Kristian picked Raiders of the Lost Ark. He sure did.
Check that show out. It's a lot of fun, and it's great. I mean, you get Clarke for an hour and a half, 2 hours
60
sometimes.
hours.
Yeah, it's good. It's good.
Of me.
Yeah, Marshall Weeks. I can't wait for the spectacular this weekend. I'm flying in from Saskatchewan, Canada.
No way.
I got the elite VIP pass and look forward to getting the full experience of the Schmoedown. Oh, hi, Brett. The experience of Schmoedown. It's going to be interesting because we've never done it live. We've done it. I mean, because normally, Clarke, you've been there for. I think you were there. Last year was the first one you competed in twice, by the way. But you were called the title match in the first one, and it's this big event, and you can feel it's the year end, the closeout. Doing it live, obviously, for us is going to be daunting, exciting, fun, all that. Is there a piece of you that wishes the past Schmoedowns, not now, but the past Schmoedowns would have been live? Because you really do well. That match against Team Action, you were the superstar in that one.
I get a little jealous when I see people kind of traveling the country and getting to do appearances, and that wasn't happening during my time necessarily. Because I think that would have been really fun to be a part of. And I will say it's certainly harder when you are when you're in a live space. I told you after we played that team match, I was like, dude, I can't hear up there. I legitimately cannot hear. And so if I can't hear, I can't answer the question. Right. So it's those types of things. Like, forget about the pressure of playing live. It's live theater. Right. And because our show is not scripted or fixed, it's a whole other element than doing a play or doing, wrestling or whatever it is. And so, but there is part of me that when I was hot, when I was a young gun, that this is part of it. Cause I might have been able to, I think I would have had a lot of fun doing that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if you just go watch the Team Action versus Shire Wolves match, and you look so, and I think I even said it during the thing, you could see she's so in her element. You're coming out in the Fight Club robe and how much fun that was. So, who knows? I'm always trying with Clarke. So you never know.
That's true. He is.
You never know. Okay. Let's see. Also, Joel Godina again. Speaking of the Schmoedown, I'm sure you're aware of the echo, like popping noise. Any way to make it less noticeable on my end? It was a studio thing that happened when we were shooting at Collider. It should be over with once we start season 7, but it was something that was going on in that particular studio while we were shooting those matches. So I don't think that it'll happen again. It certainly won't happen for Spectacular. No, watch it will. Broken Clocks. I named my daughter after Clarke.
Oh,
wow.
Is this? I know who this is.
Yeah. First of all, she's gorgeous, and secondly, her name struck me. I was like, yeah, Clarke can totally be my girl's name. Do you know if there's any reason that your mother named you Clarke?
Actually, that's a great question. Yes, is the answer. So my mom's first name is Pattinson, and her mom's first name is Wright. So we have all these like family last names as first names, which is I
love that.
Thank you. It's sort of a Southern tradition in some ways, but my mom specifically noticed that she was in medical sales in the 80s in the South, and so that was a very male-dominated field. And so she noticed that because her name was Patterson, she would walk in the door and they would be thinking that a man was coming in. And so she literally got indoors, like doors were open for her because they thought she was a man. And so I will say, because, my passions tend to gravitate a lot of ways towards like more quote fingers, boy stuff, like horror movies and movies in general, whatever. A lot of my writing, when I would submit, whether it was like for internships or consideration for things, people would call and they would think I was a man. And I was like, nope, that's me.
That's me. It's just a cool name in general, Clarke Wolfe, because people because that's your dad.
E's.
Yeah.
I know the E's. It's
that double E.
That's your dad, because that's your dad's last name, right?
Yeah.
Well, because you could see. I'm sure you've been asked if it's a stage name.
Yeah. Oh, of course.
And it's like,
who
because
believes that that's a real
you
name?
hear Clarke Wolfe, and it's just like a cool badass name.
And your mom never went by like Patty.
No.
No.
I love your mom.
She does not. No.
No.
She does not like that.
Did she take your dad's last name?
She did, but I did ask her about that, and she said, well, your dad just got his feelings so hurt. So I said, all right, fine. And so she did change it, but she wasn't going to.
I love that.
Well, my mother, second marriage is over. Nope, going back to my old name. And that was it. Josh the Merc Rayner, I know him. Hey, everyone. Hope you had a great Thanksgiving. My question's a bit serious, and you don't have to answer it. But somebody who's been dealing with depression, more so recently, I was wondering if any of you have dealt with it, and how have you coped?
And everybody looks to me.
You've talked about it openly on the show special.
No, I mean, it took me a long time to start going to therapy and actually get medication. I was always like, I don't need this, and I felt like if you let it go too long, your jump back periods are gonna get longer and longer. I used to get depressed, and I'd be better in a day or two. It was just like a little. It was just quick depression.
What did depression look like for you?
At the worst, I mean, the most recent one I had, the worst was me just like, I mean, I'd drop the kids off at school and I wouldn't even go into work at the gallery, and I'd just go lay in bed all day.
Okay.
And I mean, I was just like, I just didn't, and it wasn't a not wanting to kill myself. It wasn't that. It was just, I just didn't feel like I was living my best life, and I just was just kind of just really down on how long I've been out here and the struggling with the entertainment business, and yeah, it's just. But I do say get that help, and it's hard. It's a tough process, which makes it worse because if you don't want to do anything, if you don't want to get out of bed, and then they give you a list of 100 names of therapists and things or psychiatrists, it's like it's so annoying. And then I got a therapist, and then she stopped taking my insurance, so then I got to find a different therapist now. So just get the help and talk to your friends and let everybody know. Don't keep it from people around you.
Let me ask you a question before. How shocked are you that no Schmoebot interrupted you?
I know.
Does that go the whole show?
Not the whole show, up until we do the news. And so this would have been an ongoing joke that we've talked about. There's been things just like, well, so-and-so isn't doing so well.
Yeah.
And, well, we wanted to let you know that my schlong.
Mark was telling a great story about his dad. Halfway through it, he cut him off.
But that was, go ahead.
No, well, so I similarly also definitely deal with depression on a regular basis and mental health, issues. And what you were saying about, not wanting to take medication, that it was me as well. I was in talk therapy for years, and I had a therapist very gently suggest medication to me, and I was like, no, I don't want to be a zombie. I don't want to not be who I am, and blah 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 blah. And then it would come up again, a year or two later, and I'd say the same thing. And then finally I was like, I've been investing so much time and so much work into my therapy process, and I can only take it so far. Right. Maybe I will, try this out. And it was such a game changer.
Yeah.
Like the medication was such a game changer.
And Josh, thank you for submitting that question. You do great work, by the way. You can check out the Merc with the Movie blog. He does a bunch of different things. They have after shows for SEN Live, for Schmoedown. So please go and check him out. And thank you for being so awesome that you've strong enough that you want to ask that question. And thank you guys for sharing.
We don't need to talk about it, but I don't want to seem disingenuous that I didn't jump in. I also have been medicated for postpartm depression.
Right. You've also
but we don't have to go into details about it.
I'm perfect.
I don't want anyone to think here that I was like, those two, because it's definitely me also.
And postpartum is like, people don't talk about it a lot.
Enough.
Well, also you don't know until like you're just like, I guess this is normal that that I'm eating over my sink crying about people going to lunch.
Yeah.
I guess that's normal. Actual example.
Right.
I'll never go to lunch again.
Mine were a lot about my kids getting older and not being like snuggly and coming into bed.
Well, listen, that's still ahead of me.
Yeah, so you've still got that. And I tell my brother, he's got a baby now, and I'm like, don't get upset about these times when they want to cuddle with you and lay in bed with you, because they'll stop eventually.
That's what I said to my so my wife and I just said that recently. So my 2-year-old, sometimes she wakes up in the middle of the night, and we put her in the bed. We let her sleep there, and we're like, well, is it a bad habit? I said, I don't care, because at this point, like she's not going to be this age forever, and we're going to miss this.
The other thing is, my whole thing is, does it work for you? Does it work for her? Yeah. Then who the fuck cares what you... That's the problem. That is part of the problem. So many people have postpartum. They're like, I don't think I'm supposed to be doing this. Does it work for you and your family?
Yeah. Right. Well, thank you for sharing, and everybody else too. Jake Acavetta, we know Jake.
Yeah.
It's always great to see Clarke. Such a better guest than that traitor Bateman. I can't wait for PJ Campbell to beat that bagel thief down at Spectacular. What's up, Kate and Brett? And my favorite
it's
people.
done.
Hashtag Action Army. Well, we thank you too, Jake. Jake is a
Yes,
big
Jake's
supporter
big
of not only
supporter.
this league, but in general. I mean, they did a nice stream last night. I would say kayfabe aside with the boys, Action Army Guy and Bateman last night did a stream for Emma McAllister, who was a big part of the Schmoedown community, and we lost her last week. So it was really nice what the guys did last night. They did a live stream, and all the super chat donations that came in, they donated to Emma's family.
Oh,
so
that's
that
awesome.
was really nice.
That is awesome.
Yeah. Okay. What's this? Big B. Don't feed into it, Clarke. Ben is a fucking thief, and he knows it. It's true. Thank you so much. Lewis, Wog's donation message last week really resonated with me. I'm one of the many viewers who is in no financial position whatsoever to donate to this show, but would love to support you guys in any way possible. Thanks for being a beacon for me in rough times. Well, thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
That's really nice. It was really nice. I'm glad. I mean, this is a lot of the stuff that we've been seeing lately for this show, and it's really been it's been humbling and it's been amazing. And I'm glad you guys were enjoying the show.
I'm going to go kind of far to make a parallel,
Okay.
if that's okay,
Go
about
for
the
it.
show.
Yes, please.
Elon Musk, when he came out with the Model S, said, I have to make it cost prohibitive because we need to pay for the it needs to just be for rich people, right? It needs to be $100,000, an $80,000 car, whatever, because what we're doing is we're subsidizing the fact that we're going to come out with a $30,000 car. And I feel like that's like people that it's just, I just think it's great. Like, we don't value the people that can give huge donations over the people that
not at
can't.
all. Mm-hmm.
Not at all.
It all adds
and
up.
what the thing that's great is that the people that can take on more of the burden, they're making it good for everybody.
Right.
It is
I
just
actually
something-
get really mad if you put a lot of money on there, and I'll go on a huge rant. I will freak out.
You will. Well, well, someone said this, and what I was really happy about was someone said, I get to see the reason why I am part of this, and also I see where my donations go, and I see part of it. And even when you don't, and both my event coordinator and Ellis will be mad at me for saying this, but there's certain things you don't see. I just put down an additional $8,000 for a theater that I had to rent. And that stuff, and you got to do it like the day of, and it goes. And so when you're putting on these live events, when you're doing these shows, when you have a full staff and you have them because you believe in it and the vision that I saw for this thing of having people like this around me to have those conversations and to see whether or not you guys would want to be producers on the show by dictating and the Schmoebot and all that stuff, it's working. And I thank you guys for it because without you, it doesn't work at all. And it has been. So thank you very, very much. Absent Good. Welcome back, guys. What's up? RB3. I guess this is the same guy who did it because he said AKA Ewok. Your camera's out. Uh-oh. Here, I got you.
Wow, you were
I'll get
blacker
you in a
than
second.
normal.
Oh, there we go.
I didn't like that one, Kate. I didn't like that one.
I didn't like that one. Where is it?
I was going to say you were too hot. You were heating that camera up, and that's why it shut off. So.
Absent Good. We did. He said, "What's up, RB3?" And Ben, Justin Bieber. Who's ready for some more? Okay. Villanelle. Brett looks great in blue. Kristian, do you allow foreign film questions in the Schmoedown?
Never.
Like, would you include Roma questions, or seeing as how popular Parasite is, would you allow those questions? I think that's kind of a trial by basis type of thing.
There's
Where,
RB3.
what's that?
There he was.
Where was it?
I got it working.
Okay, good. But I think because there are certain movies that it's just the way that I was even talking to Ben about this earlier. You want to, even though we work with a lot of people who know a lot about film, we also have to be very aware of the audience who's watching. And when they're watching in that first round or even the second round, you want them to say, "Oh, I've seen that movie. I've heard of that movie." And it's like you want to make it universal. And I think a lot of times, there's some Roma and Parasite are great examples. I think movies like that should find their way into questions, but very obscure foreign films and things, probably not. Were you ever championing for foreign films to make its way to the Schmoedown while you were competing?
No.
Yeah.
No, I wasn't.
right.
But I do agree that I think that there are very important movies that are not American movies that are part of film history that are undeniable, and those absolutely should be asked about. And I think opening the door to more eclectic questions is always good because that could encourage the audience to seek something out. If they're hearing about it on the Schmoedown, then they should go, oh, I need to see that, and especially if like so-and-so can answer the question, then it's like, oh, that's if a film person knows that, I should know that.
Right. I agree.
There has been Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon questions asked, though.
Yes, right. That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. So there's certain
Yeah, the
questions-
movie guys answered the It Man question just last week. So, yeah, it's stuff like Roma. I feel like that would make good questions, like Amelie,
Yeah.
like we talked about that earlier, like very well known. Because it is fun to see like people get those deep cut questions in Inner Geekdom or in just movie trivia. We're like, wow, that was crazy.
Right. All right, let's move on here. We'll get to one more question on Streamlabs, then we'll move to the news, and then we'll go back to. Don't worry, we're going to get to all your questions today, but I want to make sure we hit these news things. Popcorn shower. Hello, you awesome people. The Mandalorian is receiving what seems to be universal praise from the Star Wars fan base. For the future, would you like to see Jon Favreau in a Feige-type role overseeing Star Wars, or as a duo with Filoni? Thanks. Well, that's kind of been rumored. That's been rumored that Filoni and Favreau will start overseeing a lot of the film progress and movies that are being made, and I would like to see them as like essentially showrunners of film. Would I like to see that? Yeah, I do. I think they have a good grip on what Star Wars should be, personally, and I think that they're also finding great directors, and I think alone, look what they've done with Deborah Chow, and she's doing the entire Obi-Wan series. She's directing the whole thing, and they're I think they're showrunners on that also, I believe. So I would like to see them have a more extended role. You haven't had a chance to see Mandalorian yet, but you've been hearing good things about it.
I've been hearing mixed things about it.
Mixed things, okay.
Yep.
Okay.
I mean, so the people who love it, love it. The people who are lukewarm on it are kind of like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I think is fair and fine. Yeah. I mean, you and I go back and forth on the Star Wars direction, I think.
True.
In terms of, casual fans like me who enjoy being brought into the fold in ways that maybe don't align with more hardcore fans, and how do you keep the franchises moving forward and bringing in more fan base, or are you just going to appease that one core fan base forever? Like it's all very interesting business and creative questions.
Now, speaking of the last one, you didn't like the last one.
Oh, I did not like chapter 4. Really, I just felt like I don't even know what to attribute it to. But like there was no spoilers, obviously. But there was, I feel like he's in the spaceship, just giving throwaway exposition at some point. Like, I guess I'll go. I don't know. I was like, this is so wildly different than the first three. It just felt like a totally different thing. The acting. There's a scene in a cantina, or where there was a woman that was she was a great contemporary actress. It was so out of place. The other thing, and you have to explain this to me, Star Wars, the world of Star Wars. There's droids. Right. Mm-hmm. Why are there people catching fish in baskets still? Is that something we see?
That's okay though. I mean, it's a different. Why? It's a different.
RB3. Do you feel?
He didn't see
me?
He didn't see this.
I didn't see it.
I'm just saying, it seems like
it's a different planet. That's the
Well,
same. That's the same way when you see the new trailer for Rise of Skywalker, people are like, "Why are they riding horses?" Because on that planet,
well, that's
they
what
can
I'm
ride
saying.
horses.
That's what I'm asking about the
Yeah.
history of Star Wars.
Yeah.
Do we see newish stuff mixed with what is another example of?
Well, the horses are one for sure. I mean,
Okay,
there's
horses
some,
are
but the
coming in
fishes,
episode
but
9.
the fishes were also the fish were also very
krill.
They were alien fish.
The krill.
But there were certain things. The one that seemed
just
way
seemed-
too
yeah.
contemporary for that scene, the bartender scene or the restaurant scene, whatever. When he walks in, that's the part I didn't like.
Yeah.
And then there's some bad acting by these villagers that came in.
Yes.
Other than that, though, I actually did really enjoy the episode. Sorry. Okay.
I even think her line, the Kara? No.
Which one?
The woman.
Gina Carano.
Gina,
Carano.
sorry.
You didn't like Gina Carano? I like Gina Carano on this one. No? Okay.
I just don't think they gave her great lines.
All right, well, I liked it. All right, listen, we're going to turn the Schmoebot off now.
You also just said fishes.
I did say fishes, you're right. All right, and now it's time to talk about some news here. So RB3 is going to, he's probably going to want to turn off Kate's mic too.
Oh, if he does Watchmen review, or is that when I go pee and interrupt his?
But we're gonna do. There's a lot of news that we have to talk about, so we're gonna try to get through as much as possible because we are gonna come back and put the Schmoebot back on and take your questions to end out the show. But Ben, a lot of stuff here. You want to start with the main topic here?
Start with the cover story.
Cool.
Robert Pattinson has been doing quite a few interviews about the Batman because his casting has been controversial. And I don't know if you guys know this, but Batman doesn't have any powers. Breaking news.
Yeah.
So he was talking about that, and he quoted, "Batman's not a superhero. It's weird. I always balk at it. I'm like, it doesn't count if you don't have powers. You need to have like magical powers to be a superhero," end quote. And that's the only quote from this article. So do you guys believe that Batman's one of the most widely known characters in all of pop culture? Is he a superhero or just a hero?
I feel like this debate's been happening forever with the superhero. And like initially it was, I used to think, yeah, you know what, if you don't have superpowers, then you're not a superhero. But I don't know, if you go above and beyond and find out these different ways to, I mean, because he does things that you look at what Batman did, the Ben Affleck version, against when he's fighting Superman, and he did pretty damn well. There is things that he does that I think he goes above and beyond. That's the question. I think that super is like a level for a higher tier. And so is he a different level of hero? I think he is. What do you think?
I liked Pattinson's quote,
Yeah.
and I think there was, the version I read, there was a little more. I think Pattinson said also, like, I'm more attracted to, you know, complicated characters, and so that's why this role is interesting to me, and I think that there's a lot of validity to that for sure. I think that there's different types of fans who, you know, for instance, to go back to like our Superman conversation earlier, a lot of people, you know, they say that they don't relate to Superman because he's essentially a god and he's stronger than everybody else, so therefore I discount him as a person or character or creature, human, whatever you want to say. Well, I guess he's not a human, but you know. So anyway, my point is, but then they identify with Batman because they're like, well, he's just a guy. He's just a guy who like goes out there and does good. But I think what we forget is that Batman is a very complicated hero.
Yeah.
I don't even.
He's damaged.
I mean, well, he's damaged, but also he doesn't play well with others.
Right.
He is, you know, he has rules that he imparts on other people in his orbit, but he feels that he's able to break those rules sometimes. So, like, I understand how some people might identify more with a Batman or a Bruce Wayne, but for me, I think more aspirational, and therefore I always liked Superman because he's what we could be, and Batman is just like, here's what I am.
Right.
It's like, I don't know.
Yeah,
so
no.
Anyway, but I like Pattinson's quote. I don't disagree with it.
I think what he says, I understand that it's not like one of these things, well, he's dead wrong on it from his points, the way he's making it short, because it's just been a debate that's been happening for a long time.
Forever, probably.
I just think that it's not a matter of just being an alien or having superpowers. I think it's just the level of type of hero and above and beyond, and Batman has always been above and beyond. But
that take Iron Man out of it too.
Exactly.
I mean, you know, you've got, you know,
right, is Iron Man not a superhero?
I think I almost think he was just trying to create a better, like, I'm really digging deep into this role.
Right.
As you know, it was more of a comment of, you know, maybe he's going to be more of a Joker kind of a film than these fluffy superhero films. But that's just my point.
I feel like superheroes, for me, it's like they take what they have and they use it, right? So if what you have is super strength, you're using it. If what you have is billions of dollars, you use it. Like, you use it to make the Batmobile, you know? So I just feel like, I don't know. I mean, everybody's entitled to their opinion. So to me, it's sort of like, I would say that Batman is in the superhero genre. Yeah. But
Supermodels don't have superpowers. I'm just saying. There's models and supermodels.
That was so bad, Brett. I agree, because I feel like even with if we were talking about, you know, Superman and Captain America working, Chris Evans took such a good route with the character, and he had moral quandaries in Civil War and Winter Soldier, and that's what I think Robert Pattinson is talking about, is that I don't have to play a superhero and be above everything and mighty. Like, he's playing this character. He's playing what Clarke was talking about, this complicated rich guy who's dressing up like a Bat Knight and beating the crap out of people and imparting his rules onto other people, like Robin and Nightwing and stuff. And so I like what he said, but I also agree, like, a little bit with what he's saying, is that I think he's saying, like, I'm not a typical superhero. I'm not 1940s Superman where I'm jumping tall buildings in a single bound.
And I get that. I think that's a good point that he makes, if that is the overall point. What about you guys? What do you think? If you're watching this live right now, please put that in the chat room. What are your overall thoughts on what Pattinson said? Do you think Batman's a superhero? He's a regular hero? What say you guys? And if you're watching on the clip outs and you haven't found the clip outs, you go to SEN Clips. We have a separate channel just for the clip outs. There's a little over 2,500 of you guys in there right now. Make sure that you go and subscribe to that. If you can't watch the whole show and just want to watch clip outs of the show, that's where you go. You can also find us on podcast form anywhere that you find podcasts, whether it's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever. Just go and check out SEN Live. But make sure if you do, especially if you go to Apple Podcasts, please leave us a review over there and rate the show. It's extremely, extremely helpful. All right, Ben, what else we got?
I like Patterson's comments too.
Oh, sorry, RB3. Sorry, our good call, RB3. So yeah,
RB, let's see you.
Yeah, because I wasn't sure.
Damn it.
Hold on, let me do it.
I got it. Okay.
Let's just all be quiet while this happens.
Yeah,
So
so
we
let's
have
hear
that,
Yeah, please. Yeah.
All right,
bad,
so
y'all.
we're gonna in just a sec. See, I knew the camera was on.
There he is. There he is.
Oh wait, there you go. All right, RB3. So you did hear this. Do you agree with him?
Hey man, listen. I just gotta salute Robert Pattinson. I think he deserves Man of the Decade. Honestly, he came back from Twilight to this. And got over the whole Kristen Stewart sleeping with the director thing. So salute him.
Well, she didn't officially sleep with him.
Well, you know,
so she says.
whatever. But
They didn't sleep.
but I think he does have a point to like the whole idea of like Batman not being a superhero to the extent of like he doesn't have superpowers. But I also think like if you're a character who also like fights Superman and like is part of the Justice League, that also kind of qualifies that too. But at least his comments are telling me he's more going to be in the Nolan kind of vein of Batman instead of like the more Zack Snyder Batman.
A little more realistic.
Yeah.
All right. What's next, Ben?
We've got Pete Davidson news. He had his audience. He performed in San Francisco, and he had his audience sign a $1 million NDA to where you couldn't talk about this at all. Not say, hey, it was great. Hey, it was funny. Hey, I didn't like this. Literally, you couldn't tweet about it, talk about it, nothing. Otherwise, you could be sued up to $1 million in damages as well as resulting legal fees. Now, I've seen a lot of comedians do this recently, like taking your phone, stuff like that. Do you guys like this harsh of an NDA where you cannot talk about it at all?
I'm so curious where you're going to be on this because I saw Jay Washington post about this, and I'm sorry. I know it might get controversy. I have no idea. I might have an argument with you. I love this. I love this because I am so in a place where I think that the comedian has their place of work is being threatened. A place of work is being threatened. Over the last few years, people are recording people when they're trying to work out and trying to get sets and trying to get their material. And there's people who don't like certain jokes that they do, and then they blast them on social media, and then that person is roasted over social media. And it's like they can't just be comedians trying out their stuff inside of this place. When you go into, and I'm not talking about Michael Richards type shit. That stuff is that's not comedy. That's just hatred. I'm talking about stuff when people are trying out bits, and if you don't like certain things that they're doing, well, so-and-so said this. I like the idea of going into a comedy club and say, you can't record this. You can't do that.
Going to a comedy club. He went to his show. He's not working shit out. It's a show that people paid for. That's very different. He had a set. He wasn't working stuff out.
I will say the lady that interviewed for the article said she didn't sign it and she got a full refund for her ticket. So
yeah, but
that
what I'm
was
saying
the
is
available
it's
option.
very different than doing a drop-in at the Comedy Store and having people, because that's, listen, that,
But he gave the money back. You gave the money back.
No, but what I'm saying is that if he's doing a show, and it's a show that people are paying to see him, he's not working stuff out anymore.
Right.
This is not like, it's not like, oh, someone's in your house watching you do a thing and then you get in trouble for it. This is not like, he wasn't in his church. It was a show he had set to do. It's very different. And I think like, this is just like, I think there's two problems. I think one is that everybody is way too sensitive, and I think at the end of the day, that there's this whole culture right now of that jokes must be real, that the person must really feel that thing. It can't possibly be that Dave Chappelle is turning the Michael Jackson thing on its head. He must really believe that Michael Jackson did. I look at that his special, Dave Chappelle's special, and I'm like, God bless him, because he went in and he did the jokes he wanted to do, and it was under the guise of a stand-up show, and people got upset or whatever. Dave Chappelle's not canceled. So to me, that's the one thing that's going on. The other is feeling like we can't make jokes anymore. That's kind of on us. Just don't make terrible, because how do you make the distinction between a Michael Richards joke?
Well, that's not a joke. That was just, but how do you make the distinction when someone's screaming racial, that's
but
not,
if somebody
not a
tells a racial joke, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but that's the George Carlin thing. That's the George Carlin thing of saying anything,
it's a
anything can be
slope
made
to
fun. No, but that's a different joke. That's he's trying. If someone's trying to tell a joke, and they're up there and they're literally telling a joke. Now, you can be offended by the subject material, but he or she is trying to tell a joke. Michael Richards wasn't trying to tell a joke. He was screaming racial profanity at people. That's just a horrible thing to do. I know, but I'm saying
I feel like to be like, but it's okay if he had said it in a joke form.
No.
Well, that's not okay either.
No.
So that's what I'm saying. I do think I don't know. I just sort of feel like.
Where do you stand on this, Clarke? What do you think? Do you think that Pete Davidson should, because you think he should be, this is something he has his right to do, or no?
I think that having your phone taken when you enter a show a live show is a perfectly appropriate request to make for exactly the working out reasons that you say. Or, by the way, even if it's a set show, taking your phone because that's not your content, that's okay, fine. But I think barring somebody from talking about the show and threatening them with legal action is insane.
It's insane.
And I agree with your point of dropping in at the Comedy Store and working out. I sometimes jokes don't land, sometimes they whatever. I get that. That's why I think the Comedy Store should take your fucking phone. Honestly, I really do. But that said, I also agree with the distinction of, no, this wasn't working it out. You have a set. You're doing a set. So saying you're not allowed to talk about it is way ridiculous. But I also think, and this is just like a little side note, Pete Davidson really likes being famous.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Do you know what I'm saying? This is a stunt. This is BS.
Exactly.
And also, sorry, what were you going to say?
I was going to say, is Pete Davidson even really that funny where, he needs to sign a contract to not get into one of his shows? Yeah. I don't know. I don't think he's that funny.
No, I don't think that that's the reason why he did it, though. I think because of what happened recently with him over the last, it was like a month ago, something happened where he was doing a show and people recorded it or tweeted about it or something, and he told people he said something to the audience, and then it blew up and became this story about the show, and I think he's tired of it. I think then
he needs to be talking to club owners and making club owners enforce their policies about phones.
Yeah,
that is a completely reasonable step to take.
Agreed.
Who was it? Was Chris Rock the first one to take him away from?
I don't know, but they all should be gone. They should have no phones.
I hate it at concerts. Concerts, it drives me crazy.
Concerts is harder to get rid of.
And I don't know, what are you doing?
Recording?
Recording like a little piece of a song from the back seats at the Staples Center. What are you going to use that for?
Right.
It's this guy in front of me. I just wanted to take it and throw it across the room.
That's
I'm
true.
like, listen to the damn music.
Same thing with the theater. I mean, people using it right before the pre.
Yeah.
Let me check my text. No, text.
People in Hamilton.
Anyway, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
August 27th at UCF, Pete Davidson went on a tirade because there was a bunch of college kids using their phones and called them privileged little assholes.
Yeah.
Which, real quick, I'm so tired of the whole young people need to be on their phones. I watched The Irishman in theaters, and every fucking boomer checked their phone every 5 minutes.
Let me tell you something.
It was a packed house with old people, and they couldn't get off their fucking phones.
Because I will tell you what, I am the person in the theater that if you pull that phone out,
you're looking.
I will lean over and say, I'm not the person who's like, turn it off.
Yeah.
But I am the person who will lean over and say, excuse me, could you please put your phone away?
Yeah.
And every time it's someone my parents' age. Every time.
Yeah.
And it is like, what are you doing? One time, two times it was someone my age.
Right.
And the first time I leaned over she was sitting next to me and I was like, excuse me, could you please put that away? She did. She never touched it again.
Right.
And then another time it was a dude who was about my age and he saw me giving him the looks and he was like, what? He put it away. Because he knows what he's doing is wrong.
Right.
But sorry, but it's true. The boomers know that what they're doing is wrong, and they don't care.
And they don't even hide it. They're
no,
like doing
they're just like, I have to send
It's the word, and so bright. No,
They're like, I built the theater.
that'd be great.
I love that Pete Davidson, though, had a bad reaction to something, and his answer was to make everybody sign a not. Like, just have a better reaction. You lost your cool because people had their phones out. Problem is you need
it's such a stunt. It's $1 million. Come on. That's
Well, someone said good luck enforcing that NDA, but I think hearing Clarke and Kate, I understand when it comes to maybe because you kind of want them to talk about your show, whether it was good and what is that kind of thing. So maybe that you can't talk about the show is maybe where I am not completely on board with, but I do like the idea of not having phones.
Okay, but here's a question. As a comedian, if you're up on stage performing, how much of what you say do you have to own? Because it's like what you said about the idea of like, you make the joke, you work out the joke, you stand by the joke, that's your joke, that's your material. I think that like, I'm thinking about Louis C.K. Recently talking shit about the Parkland kids. And you're like, you know what? If you stand by that joke, people should be able to tweet about it. I'm not again, I'm not talking about live streaming or whatever, but I am talking about being seated at a comedy club. Louis C.K. walks on and you go, I didn't sign up for this. I did not buy a ticket to this.
Right.
And then he starts talking shit about the Parkland kids.
Right. Yeah.
You should be able to walk out of the theater and put on social media, this just happened, and then Louis C.K. has to own that.
But that's a very. I agree with you there, but that's a very different circumstance than because of what Louis C.K. has been has done. So where you're a paid customer sitting down, I think that that club should inform people that he's going to be there.
On top of that, he's mad because people don't want to see him right now,
right.
but also that he's talking shit about kids that survive a mass shooting, and people go, extra no thank you.
Right.
And he,
Well, that's why that's why it's a different circumstance with him.
But what I'm saying is Pete Davidson not wanting anybody to talk about his show is him probably wanting to do some really big stuff and then say, but also I don't want to deal with social media.
I think that's part of it too. I mean, Dane Cook went through this too when he did right after the Dark Knight shooting. He Dark Knight, it was the last one, right?
Yeah, Dark Knight Rises.
And he did a jokes along those, and he got roasted for it too. So it's
But he didn't make people sign it.
No, he didn't. No.
It's almost like a marketing. My camera's out again. It's almost like a marketing gimmick these days. Like it's literally like people just do things and say things for the sake of outrage, just to get the clicks and just to get the attention. Yeah. And I feel like God love Dave Chappelle. I mean, I loved his last special, but I feel like now a lot of people are doing like the Pete Davidsons, like the Louis C.K.'s. Yeah. They're trying to be edgy just for the sake of
pushing back a little bit.
Marketing. Yeah.
I think the only true ones that are out there right now, I shouldn't say that's not true. The ones who, to me, the two legit specials that came out back to back were Chappelle and Burr.
Yeah,
those are the two.
Ali Wong has done some great specials.
She did the one. I don't mean overall comedians. I mean about this particular topic. Not overall comedians. Ali Wong's a great comedian.
Guess who I am? I'm gonna take everything you say seriously. And he goes, I'm you.
Yeah. Right. That's what I meant. That's what I'm talking about. Those two, like they went after like what the culture is right now in a way. Both Burr and Chappelle, that I thought was pretty.
Chris Rock, Bigger and Blacker. When that came out, he did this whole bit about, he's like, this is the first time ever I've been scared of white kids. He's like, some white kids get on an elevator in a trench coat, and I'm like, okay, and I get up. Now, somebody might have been offended by that, but A, it's a joke, and B, he's making a comment on the shift and like that now that like it's something that actually makes you think like, oh man, like here there is this stereotype that like young black youth are so dangerous, and it turns out that like this one incident in Columbine happens, and like maybe actually young, you know, and it's a I don't know.
I want to just briefly interject that I think the concerns about Dave Chappelle punching down in his specials, especially with what he's saying about trans people and things like that, I think those are very valid, and I don't think that's PC culture. So I think there is I think what's happening is in 1 hour, we're conflating a lot of different things. And so I just want to add that I don't think, I understand the point, but I also think that he has said some stuff in the last couple of years where you're just like, my reaction was, come on, man.
Yeah.
Was that in the car joke?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
like that's the thing. Like Dave Chappelle's takes on a lot of the stuff. Like I enjoyed about 60-70% of the special. There were I love Dave Chappelle, but all the stuff punching down, it wasn't even clever. It felt like from like 95, like that was his take on it, and it hasn't changed since then. It was like, oh, blah blah, trans people. Oh man, like. But
wasn't he talking about? I mean, when he's talking about trans people, the joke I'm thinking of, he's talking about how gay people don't know what to do with trans people. It's not him saying that he's talking about them all getting in the car and then the trans people get in the car. It's like he's doing this whole thing. I guess I just maybe missed this. Or
I think there was one right after that where it was just about that he doesn't believe that they believe that they're this gender. Like it was just like him just stating that.
With the Asian man joke, I think that's what they're talking about. Like
it was like, oh well, I identify as an Asian man, so now I get it. And it was just like, who fucking says that nowadays? Like, get the fuck over it.
Well,
honestly.
so that's what I'm saying. Who says that nowadays? Yeah, it is about PC culture, then, right?
That's not PC culture, though. That's just.
But if
trans people have been around for a long time.
Absolutely, but what I'm saying, if Dave Chappelle really believes, like this is all I'm saying is, if anybody has the right to get up and say the thing that they believe, and if somebody's offended by it, then you need to deal with that fallout. But I have to say, if Dave Chappelle really believes the parallel to say that I'm a different gender than I am is the same as saying I'm a different race than I am, who are we to tell him he can't say that?
We're not saying that he can't say that.
No,
but
that's exactly
what everybody. In a funnier way.
And
it's not funny.
No, nobody's saying to say it funny. People are saying he can't say that.
It's not that they're saying he can't say it. It's that he needs to own what he said. And if people get upset because they say, hey, man, not cool,
and he's saying,
then he needs to not sit there and go, oh, PC culture. It's like, no, man, own your Chris Rock owns a Columbine joke because it's fucking funny and it's making a point. And he's not going to go, so, no, everyone's censoring me. Mm-hmm. He's saying this is my
I guess I don't know.
joke.
What's Dave Chappelle's reaction been to the transgender?
I don't think Dave Chappelle has come out and said anything, but everyone is saying, oh, PC culture, too woke, we're all too sensitive. It's like, no, we appreciate a good, finely tuned joke when it comes out. Because, like, the Dark Knight thing, Anthony Jeselnik tweeted right after he said, but besides that, how was the movie? Like, that's really fucking dark, but it was funny.
Right.
Like, yeah, but there are plenty of people, I'm sure, who...
No.
As
much as I love you getting... I like you getting heated, and they're just going to go around in circles.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the impeachment.
Let's move to the next thing. A little lighter there, Ben. You'll steal a bagel,
Frozen 2! Hey, big numbers!
Thank God for Brett.
Let's talk about that white bitch.
Oh, thank God for Brett.
All right, what do you got?
A Keanu Reeves problem, the only controversial thing Keanu Reeves ever does, is that he's just too busy and too high in demand.
Tell me
John Wick 4 has been delayed a little bit, even though we all love this trilogy, and it's only because they just wrapped shooting on Bill and Ted 3, and Matrix is getting the reboot, and I'm pretty sure he's a part of that. So Lance Reddick was saying in an interview, quote, last I heard there wasn't a script, but that was a month ago. I know they're working on it, but part of the problem in terms of scheduling now is that Keanu Reeves signed on to do The Matrix 4. He has Bill and Ted coming up, end quote. So how soon do you guys want John Wick 3? Should that be the priority over the Matrix reboot? Oh, John Wick 4, sorry. Mm-hmm. Should that be the priority over Matrix 4? Because I think he's done with Bill and Ted already, so that's wrapped.
And just to throw, I'm pretty sure that Lance had said that on Collider Live, by the way, too. So we'll give props to our pals over at Collider Live.
That was by comicbook.com, it says.
But comicbook.com is where they're reporting on it.
It says Lance Reddick was asked by comicbook.com
recently?
Yeah.
Or maybe he also talked about Collider Live. He talked a lot on Collider Live. But anyway, so the point is that there are 3 big franchises here that he's got with Bill and Ted, The Matrix, and then this one. I love all 3 of the John Wicks. I'm okay with waiting for that one because I'm very curious to see what they're going to do with Matrix. But the one I want to see actually the most is Bill and Ted. You feel the same way?
No. But I am like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying.
But you're wrong.
You,
I don't think you're wrong.
you typical
She said it with a
old
smile.
dummy.
No.
Right.
I don't have strong feelings about it either way.
Any of the ones?
Yeah.
Did you like the Matrix movies or just the first one?
I like the first one.
Yeah, so that's how I feel. But does anybody think that John Wick 4 should?
They should do. To me, they should do John Wick 4 because
so?
I think, and my camera's on.
Mother-
Yeah, I think this one's bad. But I personally think John Wick is the hotter property right now. I think a lot of people are excited about John Wick. I think especially after the third one has like so much action, and people are still kind of iffy on this whole Matrix thing. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm curious how they're going to handle the Matrix. I'm curious about it. I want to see how they're going to handle it. I don't have a lot of hope for it because I thought 2 and 3 just weren't good. But Bill and Ted could also be a disaster. Yeah. But I understand that if you're going to do as far as quality, John Wick has been the best out of all of them. But I'm okay with pushing it a little bit because I want to see how they do the rest.
But also maybe get a script and then complain about scheduling.
Right.
That was kind of like the standout piece to me in that quote was like, well, we don't have a script or anything, but Keanu's really busy. And it's like,
really
all right,
busy.
well, maybe get a script and then
we'll worry about it.
we'll worry about Keanu's schedule.
All right, so we were talking about Frozen. Though Frozen had a hell of a weekend. Huh?
Frozen had a hell of a weekend with a global total so far of $738 million. So it's still number 1. Knives Out came in a solid second with $41 million over the weekend. And third was Ford vs. Ferrari with 13, Queen and Slim with 11. And last one was Mr. Rogers with also $11 million. No. So that's a solid top 5. You should all go see all 5 of those movies, to me, honestly.
Knives Out definitely had a nice little run there for the number 2, for sure. But Frozen, when you look, you knew this movie was going to be big.
Oh, yeah.
But then this is like Disney so far has made like $8 to $9 billion or something so far this year. With you got Captain Marvel, The Avengers, Lion King, Aladdin. This one, it's like holy crap! The amount of money that it's churning out. But I saw it. I've seen it now 1.5 times. But my daughter is obsessed with it. The music plays in my house. Right? I mean, some people thought that there wasn't a lot of story to it. Did you see that?
Yeah, I did actually.
Did you like it?
I liked it. Yeah. I think the first movie is a legitimate great movie. I mean, I really do. I think it's excellent. And the second one to me was, I love the story. I love the concept, but for me the execution was kind of like, huh? Yeah. It just was a little muddled for me in terms of that. And in terms of the songs, like it's interesting, like I got some of the jokes that they were going for. Like for instance, his name is Kristian, isn't it? Kristoff has a song in the middle of the forest that's really cute, but also it was like almost a boy band type of thing. Yeah, this kind of
throwback to like the 90s videos.
And I wish that they would have pushed that a little further because for me, I was like, wait a second, this is clearly supposed to be like a 90s love ballad. Right. Why are they not pushing this as far as maybe it could have been? Whereas like in the first movie, the Disney love song between the two people who just met is so clearly a parody of that. Yes. And this one just kind of stopped short. So I was like, oh, that's weird. But I mean, the Into the Unknown is very catchy. Yeah.
I'm the opposite. I thought Frozen was an okay movie with really good music, except for the troll song. But Frozen 2, I love that there's really no villain. I like that it was just more about the sisters bonding. I thought Kristoff supporting Anna was really cool. His song is hilarious. I didn't find Olaf funny in the first one. His reenactment of Frozen is one of the funniest Disney animated moments in the last 10 years. And then Into the Unknown is better than Let It Go.
Are you
I'll say
the
it.
only person that said I didn't find Olaf funny in the first one?
I didn't. Like,
That's
I thought
so-
he was okay.
That
but
summertime song, I was legitimately crying.
Let's not get
laughing.
into another battle here.
Take it
Oh my gosh.
Easy.
Listen, Olaf should be allowed to work out his jokes in the first movie.
In order to get better in the
Don't
second.
get better in the
Yeah,
second.
he perfected it in the second one. That's
right.
what I'm saying.
I loved the,
The first one was real laborious.
Laborious, yeah.
Is that anything? Is that everything? The big stuff?
We got Avatar 2 was done filming for the rest of 2019. RB3 is the only man excited about
Sure,
that.
I'm
on the
actually
planet.
excited for it too.
And then, did you guys want to talk about the ET commercial, like the sequel, quote unquote, to ET?
I
the
love that
Xfinity?
commercial. Did you guys like it?
I
thought of Mark Riley immediately.
Yeah.
Got to watch it.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
It's okay. So it's just people were tweeting about this thing. Do you guys see it?
I saw like
Yeah.
the pictures.
Yeah, well, they were tweeting about it. I'm like, well, what is it? It's just one of these ridiculous commercials, like the way they did with the Back to the Future ones and everything too. And it's like a legit sequel. It feels like it. The music, everything about it is that Elliot and his kids now find E.T. E.T. comes back and he's hanging out with the kids, and it's a lot of repeating beats from the first movie. But the music is the John Williams score is in there, and it was heartwarming. It was a smart commercial and a fun commercial, and it was a nice way to do it. And they got Henry Thomas back to do Elliot. Did you like it?
Has he? Yeah, I did. Has he done anything since Legends of the? No.
Oh, yeah.
Legends of the Fall? Yeah,
Legends
he's
of the
been.
Fall.
He- yeah.
He was in
Haunting
Dr.
of
Sleep. He
Dr.
was in,
Sleep and
Dr.
Haunting
Sleep.
of
Oh,
Hill
okay.
House.
Yeah.
He
I
was
haven't
the
seen
dad in
that.
Haunting of
There
Hill
you
House.
go.
Yeah, he's
Okay.
great. Or he's
That's so funny. He moved to the horror genre.
Yeah. So did you like it?
I thought it was cute. I wish it, I
Gimmicky?
mean, the fact that it was a commercial that's what I didn't like.
was a little dirty.
You know, yeah, I was just like, oh.
The fact that then you bought the product.
yeah, then I went out and I immediately
that's
got Xfinity.
Well, we are going to go back to the Schmoebot in just a second, but I want to get RB3's thoughts on the Watchmen here, because there's this big episode dropped yesterday. And don't worry, it's a non-spoiler. That's really just for Clarke, to let Clarke know it's a non-spoiler, and for you guys too, that we're not going to spoil anything. I've only seen one episode, but this episode here last night, RB3, people were going crazy about it. Was it great? Was it overrated? What was it?
I thought the episode was absolutely amazing. What Watchmen has been doing great so far is that I've been slowly unraveling the puzzle pieces, very slowly and intricately. So like as the episodes go on, the more is revealed. And they had a big reveal at the end of the last episode. I guess it's not really a spoiler, because at the end of every episode there's kind of a big reveal almost. But this one in particular made a lot of waves online. And it harkens back to the idea of adaptation, right? Like, how can you adapt this property, and what's a good way to incorporate old characters and new characters? And this show keeps finding creative ways to do that. So I love it. To me, it's the best show HBO's done in a long time. They said this is only running one season, 9 episodes.
Oh, wow.
Damon Lindelof he said this is supposedly one season, but I don't know. They might come back for a second one, I think. But I love the direction that this is going. There's still a lot of questions that got to be answered, even going into there's 2 more episodes left. So I'm super stoked for it.
I got to check this show out, because I did like the first episode a lot. I think Regina King was so good in it.
And it's crazy. You'll like the first episode, but once you get further into the story, you're just like, whoa, it completely takes the cake. I don't know what you think, Clarke, but
I agree. I mean, I absolutely agree. I think that it's a great pilot that lays an awesome groundwork, but then very quickly in episode 2, 3, 4, you're just like, oh, this is a world. Like, this is a stylish world that has something to say and stakes. And
And it addresses a lot of the criticisms of like the original Watchmen show in like a very like creative.
You mean the movie?
The show and the movie.
Okay.
It kind of makes fun of the movie almost to a certain extent but it takes the criticism of the show. I'm sorry, of the original comic book, and really revises it and gives it new life. So.
Okay. Well, thank you, RB3, and make sure you check that show out. That's a review here of Watchmen. If you haven't, by the way, if it's your first time watching the show, leave your comment. Do that. We're also on SEN Clips. This will live over there also. So make sure you leave your comments and subscribe over to the SEN Clips. All right, RB3, let's turn the old girl back on.
Where's Watchmen? What platform?
HBO.
HBO.
Yeah.
That's why I can't
All right,
watch.
so there, the
Real
Schmoebot
quick,
is back on.
Kristian, I got a pretty unironic quote from Bryce Dallas Howard, who directed the Chapter 4 Mandalorian. quote, when my dad did Solo, honestly, I was like, hey, you know that word nepotism? I'm calling it in. I'm shadowing you on set. End
That's
quote.
awesome.
It's just like,
That's
I
awesome.
think you already kind of called it in, but no big deal.
I don't even know that I didn't like episode 4 or chapter 4 because of her. By the way,
No, I thought she was fine.
wasn't like.
I actually really liked her in the Elton John movie in Rocket Man. She played.
She was
you
real
ever see
good in
that?
Rocket
Oh
Man.
no, she's a,
Yeah.
a fabulous performer.
Yeah.
I'm saying I'm not saying I'm not.
Oh, no,
You're not putting
I
the
said
blame on her.
about-
Yeah.
Unironic.
No, I'm
Oh,
not
did she
saying
So we
that.
have a lot of questions
About her
here.
directing.
We got a lot of questions, and we have a lot of super chats that I haven't got to. So I want to get through these. Let's go to Sean
Her
Petersell.
episode of Black Mirror is the best. Sorry, go
The
ahead.
Looney Bin Time Machine match, it was just tremendous. I have somehow missed the previous Looney Bin matches, but I think you have an absolute star in them. I agree. They have become massive stars like that, and tournament season has done that. You've seen that before. Tournaments have turned people into stars. I mean, look at Ethan Irwin last year. I mean, we know that match alone. I mean, and Clarke was already a massive star going into the Schmoedown tournament last year, but she made it to the finals last year in the tournament, and even enhanced the fact. Someone asked me yesterday. Someone said, "Who's the most underrated Schmoedown competitor?" I did a Q&A. Underrated Schmoedown competitor. I said you, and I think that it's you've reached the top, you've had the belts, but when people talk about like the greatest, I don't think your name is mentioned enough. I think because of what you've done in the league, I think you were a trailblazer. I think there was so much stuff that you did, and not even just for women, just in general with competitors, when they would watch the way you would play the game and they watch the way you would strategize and things. And I think people started to take that from you. I think that from the effort that you put in, the studying that you put in, I don't think that your name is put up there enough. And I think the tournament alone, you were a word away from beating Ethan Irwin.
Correct.
A word.
Yeah.
You had him beat. You had one of those moments.
Yeah.
And so and he was the unbeatable at that point. So, and I tell you that all the time, that I think that your name should be in this conversation. Yeah, it's
Thank
true.
you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. Suge Knight 323, Classy is in the house.
Yeah.
Hello to
So
all
is
my
Suge.
hello to all my favorite people on YouTube and the Bagel Bandit. With it being holiday season, what's your favorite feel-good holiday movie? Mine is The Family Man. I was gonna say The Family Man. And can we get Clark's take on the Paddington Challenge? Okay, so if you're not aware of what happened, Clarke, with the Paddington Challenge. Okay, so Paddington 2, Alonzo Duralde and Matt Atchity played up against Andrew Guy and McQueenie. So the final question in the match was, who was the last surviving member of the Dirty Dozen in the Dirty Dozen? Okay, so they answered Lee Marvin. The Paddington 2 won the match because the answer was Charles Bronson.
Okay.
So we're in the back, and then we hear there's a challenge on the table. Matt Atchity from the winning team challenged the question and said that he can't win that way because Lee Marvin actually does survive. Right. So then we went back. We thought, well, Lee Marvin actually put together the Dirty Dozen. Is he part of the Dirty Dozen? No. But what does the question really say? It became this muddled thing. And I was listening to the rundown, and like Brad Gilmore and Frank was like, no, this question should have stood. And Brad said, well, there's too much. It's not as clear cut. And that's how it was at the desk. Right. And people didn't. So Emma and Ken and people were just like, no, we have to ask another question. So they asked another question, and then the family won, and Paddington 2 loses. But in actuality, Charles Bronson is the last surviving member of the Dirty Dozen. But it was overturned because it was just too muddled. So that's the basis of it.
I would just say that, respectfully, because I know how hard it is to come up with all of these questions. I really, really, really do. But something that I have screamed at you for years is you gotta be really, really, really clear with this kind of stuff. And if there is even the slightest bit of confusion, because I will say that, I never got my singles, I never got a singles belt, but there were a couple of matches where I was just like, the question, I didn't know if I could challenge it in the moment. Then you go home and then you're like, fuck, that was wrong. And I should have said something, but I didn't know in the moment. Is the onus on me? The onus should be on the question, but guess what? It's over. And it's 1 point, but 1 point in championship matches or in big matches matters. Right. And so for me, you got to be careful with those questions.
Yeah. I think that it's a longer debate. Maybe it's to be talked about on Schmoedown Backstage eventually, which, by the way, is this Thursday. It'll be me, Ben Bateman, and Frank Janish. We'll be here previewing the spectacular itself. Exiled Garlic, RB3's camera powers have doubled since we last met. That's true. T-Sim put in a Schmoebot before. Agent 00 Ice put in a Schmoebot, as did Anthony Nugent. Chris says, I once thought it was impossible to make this show better, but you guys just did it. Clarke Wolfe is the absolute best.
Oh, that's very sweet.
Kristian from Denmark. I wonder if it's the Danish
Oh my God,
Kristian.
please be Danish Kristian. Huh?
It's good to see Wolf on the show. She's one of my favorite competitors of all time. On Friday, I broke my glasses on a punk show because I was drunk and stupid. I also fell and scraped my knee after the show. I'm 30. What is the stupidest thing you've done as an adult?
Check out SEN After Live, as we just had Katie Sarkoff on and she told some stories of old days with Mark and Kristian. Also, Clarke Wolfe is my inspiration, and also thank you all for answering my previous question. Meant a lot.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
I listened to that interview. It was like there was nothing I was worried about. So yeah, I listened to it. But no, it was they should listen to the after SEN. They did have a great interview with Katie, and she's so awesome. She just is just an open book and a lot of fun, and she's gonna be on this show very soon. But what were we? There was something else right before.
Stupidest thing.
Stupidest thing.
we've done
Stupidest
as
thing.
an adult.
When I was working at the movie theater, I was still an adult. I was 19. My friend was jumping from a ledge to this gate, pulls himself up, and I kept trying to do it. He's like, "Don't do it. You're not going to get it." And I grabbed onto the thing, and I fell, and I shattered this part right. Ooh.
I in my in 2 days ago actually, I put my phone. I was not drunk anymore. I was not hungover. My big thing is I love decorating the house. I love decorating the house for Christmas. So I was taking all the stuff down, and this is because I'm stupid. I took a video of how I had everything in our storage in the garage. So I took the video. I set the phone down on my husband's car. I'm taking all the stuff out. And then I can't find my phone. And then I look, and my phone appears to be in the middle of a highway when I do find my iPhone.
How did that happen?
This is the second time I've done this because my husband got in his car and drove away with my phone on it. He then went back to the freeway, God love him, and he's like, I know exactly where it happened. I thought a white brick had hit the car. I'm like, well, and he got out of his car and got it for me.
Oh my God.
Wow.
But that's, I'm just a
good.
grade A idiot.
Yeah.
Why would I ever set a phone down on a car?
Yeah.
It's distracting.
What'd you
My
do?
life is a series of bad ideas. You'll find cream cheese in the cabinet sometimes.
Yeah.
I think one of the most painful things I've done was for some reason I thought instead of slapping the avocado seed or nut, if you will, with you kind of take the knife like this.
Yeah.
I did it this way and went into my hand.
Jesus.
No.
Not drunk.
RBJ, what'd you do that was stupid?
I ain't got nothing like that. I think I could top that one personally.
All right, fine. Keith Zerby's
I
put
feel like
in
Clarke is
Schmoebot.
exempt from having to answer that one.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I've never done anything.
I
stupid
believe it.
as an
I actually
adult
believe it.
ever.
I didn't think so. But ESK put in a Schmoebot, as did Paul Denuzio. Toby Thrawn says it's going to be a long one.
As a competitor in the fan leagues, I get where Clarke is coming from. If I get to play in the Schmoedown and win the singles belt, I will work an angle where I can challenge Clarke to play for the belt. Wolfpack for life.
Oh, very nice. Yeah, a lot of people. I mean, that's one of the things too. I think that what the Shire Rules did too, and I certainly saw it in my house, was that how many young people were loved you guys. Kids love the Shire Rules, and kids I think started getting introduced to the Schmoedown. That's one of the reasons we cleaned up the language and stuff. So we started realizing how many kids are watching, and you guys had kind of brought that in. Was that overwhelming at all?
I'll be completely honest with you. People don't tell me this stuff.
Oh.
So, I feel like Rachel heard it a lot more than me. I don't know if it's because she competed more in Inner Geekdom, but I kind of felt like the fan outreach was more to her. So, I don't get that as much.
Well,
so
from Vivian, you certainly do.
yeah. So it's not over. I mean, meaning, but that said, it's always important for me for young people, boys and girls, and to have smart female role models. I think that's and who love the things that they love.
Yeah.
That's absolutely part of it. And but yeah, I mean, I don't experience that as much. Unfortunately, people don't approach me as much either, like at conventions or whatever, and I don't know why that is, but people don't approach me as much, so I didn't experience that.
Interesting. Okay,
That's so interesting.
It is because I mean, all you hear is about the it's out there. Trust me, it's out there because there's tons of people.
Well, it's probably because you're very rude.
Yes, that's number
Terrifying.
Golly.
With this pink
Yeah.
porcupine sweater on. Don't talk to me.
That's right.
And
Okay,
the
so
nicest smile in the biz.
definitely. Toby Thrawn said it's going to be a long one here. Kristian, in the first Mando stream, I suggested that Yuta Brezwitz as director for Mando season 2 or another Star Wars series. Since Kristian didn't know her on Westworld, here for the whole crew. She's a German cinematographer and she did some work in Hollywood and turned TV director the last year. She did Westworld 2, number 8, best episode of the season. This made me look into her work. Stranger Things 3, 5, and 6, and 2 episodes of Altered Carbon, 2 episodes of Jessica Jones, 2 The Deuce, 4 OITNB. What's that?
Orange is the New Black.
Thank you so much. And 1 Fear the Walking Dead. Well, she certainly has a lot of credits to her name, so why not? Let's do it. Yeah.
How were you reading my thoughts?
Sure, man, absolutely. Let's. I'm up for brand new. Well, she's not even brand new. She's someone who's been.
Yeah.
She's established. So let's try it out. She wants to do it. Haskell 420 put in the Schmoebot, as did M Sun and Agent 666 PTC. ZCM Zombie Custom Maps. Did Kate go hard with Pedialyte while hungover?
Pedialyte. No, I did coconut water.
Okay. Plus, I'd love to see a Schmoedown match against the Bagel Boss guy versus Bagel Snatcher, a.k.a. Ben. Sure.
You're the ham bagler.
See, that's clever. I like clever. I'll take clever.
You'll take clever.
Wait, you said Bagel Boss?
Yeah, the guy. I think the guy that.
the guy.
The Long Island guy. Yeah, Toby Thrawn
yes.
actually closed out and says, I really love what I saw of her, and I think she'd be perfect for a director Star Wars series. Not only because I, as a German, love seeing Germans in Hollywood. Well, there you go.
Hey.
Big B, Brett, let your wife know that you definitely have black fans in the hood. Respect.
Hey!
There you go.
Heard. Yep.
Exiled Garlic. Did Brett get a chance to watch Mandalorian with your son last week?
Actually, last night.
We
we had a lot of guests, but we did last night.
How did you like it?
I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. It was just kind of, we all were like, oh, that was nice. But the best part now that I'm loving with my son, he's like, who did the score for this? And he goes, I'm like, well, you got to get to bed. And he's like, no, can I stay and watch the artwork at the end? I really like the artwork and the
That's
credits.
awesome.
My daughter loves the artwork on that one, too.
Yeah, that's
good. Toby Thrawn again. And while we're at it, German for D+, Daniel Bruhl is giving his directorial debut in a German dark comedy series. Is there any chance for directing an MCU series since he's playing in the Bucky Falcon series? I think possibly. That's definitely. I think that a lot of the times when you. I mean, shoot, Carl Weathers is directing Mandalorian next season. I didn't even know he directed. So, I mean, why not? If Daniel Bruhl got a chance.
Maybe he didn't
No,
either.
they seem to open new directors. I think that's certainly possible. Ryan Payne, news of another SEN episode. I'll wait. Oh, wait, Clarke Wolfe's going to be on? Where's my wallet?
Young people aren't the only ones who are Shire Wolves fans. I'm 50 and I consider myself a Nog Schmoedown and Clarke fan.
OG.
Also, do you have a P.O. box yet? Your Watchmen graphic novel looks lonely by itself. I'd like to send some in from my rec.
Yeah, it's true. It does look
Reading.
Yeah, it does.
awesome.
We don't
And
have
the wrappers on.
Yeah, it's still on. We don't have a P.O. box yet. We're still working on that. That's probably going to be done by the beginning of the year, to be honest with you.
I have a personal one. You can start sending stuff.
But Ryan Payne said, Clarke Wolfe's going to be on. Where's my wallet? I've been a fan since 2014, and I contribute to your Patreon. Thank you so much. All the love and best wishes. See you at the expo. Can't wait for you guys to be at the expo. Bummer is that Clark's not going to be in town.
I know, I'm
Clark's
out
not
of
going to be in town, so
I
she's
know.
not going to be there. Otherwise, we definitely have her there for
Sorry.
sure. She was asked.
Sure, guys.
Yeah. Jay Golden Eyes. Clarke, it's nice to see you on the show. Kristian keeps talking about LA traffic. Let him know of the true horror of Atlanta traffic.
Yes.
Yeah.
So here is something that I do always say when people talk to me about the traffic here. I think Atlanta traffic is worse. And
Really?
here's why. In Atlanta, there's one way to get someplace. And if that one way is done, you're done. At the very least in Los Angeles, you can take a freeway, you can take a canyon, you can take side streets. Like, there are different routes. And so I will take LA traffic over Atlanta traffic any day of the week.
That's fair. How long do I have you for? Do you need to dip at 12? Because I want to try to have everybody else. Everybody have a heart out. Everybody, no. Okay, I just want to try to get to as many of these questions as possible. Nick Piccolo, the class is strong today. Clarke, would you ever consider being a manager in the Schmoedown? #Cast Iron Gang.
Great question. I mean, So here's my thing with managing. I think that I would love to work with competitors and people who are coming up. When I was in a sorority, surprise to everyone at this table, when I was a big sister, and I didn't understand that it was really important to be at all the little sister things. And so one time I didn't go because I didn't to something for my little sister. I didn't realize it was a big deal. Then I got a phone call from somebody saying, your little sister is crying because you're not here. You're the only one that is not here. And I was like, oh my God, I didn't know. I'm so sorry. Like, I felt horrible. So my point is, if I were to be a manager, I would really want to give those competitors everything I had.
Right.
And my schedule, it's not even that it's so unpredictable. And that's what sucks, is that I would want to really, really do it, and I would want to really, really be there. So I would consider it. However, I just feel like I would really want to give everything I could.
All right. Okay, so
My takeaway is that there were cell phones when you went to college.
yeah,
God bless. Not so much for me.
Eva, hey Kristian and crew, it's a fun show today. Clarke, you were my absolute favorite Schmoedown competitor, and you and Rachel beating Who's the Boss is my favorite moment. Can you give us your spectacular predictions and who is your favorite team? Love from Holland. So Ben Bateman versus Bibiani, 5-round match, ultimate Schmoedown finale. Winner plays Oyama that night. Who you got?
I got Bateman.
You got Bateman,
I do.
okay.
He's in the zone.
Yeah. Alex Damon, Star Wars champion versus Laura Kelly.
I don't know.
You don't know.
What do
Okay.
you think? Or you can't say.
Well, no, I give my predictions on it. I think that Laura Kelly, to me, and I've said it many times, is one of my favorite competitors out there. I love her attitude. I love the way she plays. The only thing that threw me out, because Damon's like when Merle was like at the top of his
Right.
game, like he's like that. He's like, he's incredible how good he is. And in her post interview, she said, well, he's probably going to beat me. You can't go in there.
No,
like
not
that.
with that mindset.
No, you can't. And not against a guy like that. And that threw me off a little bit. But I think she put up a good fight, but I got him winning that one.
Okay.
The third match is going to be Founding Fathers, Dan Merle and Roca defending the championships.
Much respect to the listeners today. Been classy-ish with the
Yeah,
Schmoebot.
it's true.
With Disney Plus only being in select countries, what are your thoughts on DC Universe still only being America only?
I think that the sooner DC Universe can get international, the better.
Yeah.
I will also say, though, that my show, DC Daily,
There you go.
is in front of the paywall. So meaning you can watch it. You can watch it for free. You don't have to have a subscription.
Okay.
So for in the meantime, before we are international, watch us. You can watch us.
Okay, and
great.
that's so they can. How do they
Right,
find
no,
it?
your camera's working again. Show them. Show them.
DC Daily.
Perfect. Okay. Well, then thank you for that. And then the other ones, the Schmoedown.
Oh yeah,
predictions.
Founding Fathers.
Founding Fathers will defend the title against. There's the semifinals are this week, and the finals are on Friday. So we have the Shazam, which is Bibiani and the Kid, and they were going to play against the Looney Bin. And then the winner of that plays the winner of either Ben Bateman and Riley, Who's the Boss, versus the family, Andrew Guy and McWeeny. So out of those four, it's going to be tough. I think Who's the Boss? I mean, they won the tournament last year. So one of those teams could go. The Founding Fathers, though, I think they're playing on a different level right now too. They look really good in Orlando.
Okay.
So I would say
There's so many variables.
Yeah, it's harder to say right
That's
now.
so hard.
Yeah.
That's what's really hard is especially when you're playing so much in a short amount of
Yeah.
time and all of that. And at the end of the season, I don't know. I don't know what I would say.
Smets versus Kalinowski, IG title.
Mike is also an emotional player.
Yep.
So that's what I've always said about him. Like, he's such a sweet, first of all, lovely human person, and I love him. But yeah, I don't know. If he's in the zone, he's in the zone.
Right.
But
He can get thrown a little
That's
bit.
right.
Right. And then last one. So you had Bateman winning. So Oyama versus Bateman for the title.
Oyama.
You got Oyama. Okay. Well, there you go.
So.
The classy one is.
But also same day, man.
Yes.
Playing 2 matches in one day.
It's a lot. You've done it. You've done it.
It's not pleasant.
Okay, so then Ryan Payne put in a Schmoebot. Paul Denuzio. Will Clarke be at Spectacular? We answered that one. The
Yeah.
Action Army would love to meet her. She will not be there. She has prior obligations. That we talked about this months ago.
Yeah, sorry.
Thomas Lopez. What's up, guys? I had a quick Schmoedown question also. My apologies if you explained it because I probably missed it. Can you explain who in the draft is safe or protected and how it all works? Keep up the great work. Well, the the smaller version of it is the champions. If the champions have a manager, so for example, let's say Smets does win the championship, Kaiser will have a chance to just keep him. He will not have to. He won't have to draft him. He can keep him if he wants to. Then he would lose his first round pick because he would have him. So another example is that let's say that the founding fathers keep the belts and Bateman wins the championship. Tom would get all of them. Plus, he would also get Riley because the top 5 teams are protected, meaning that if you draft, let's say Clarke Wolfe was a manager and she drafted Ben Bateman, she would automatically get Riley, but she would lose her first and second round pick. Now, any teams from 6 to 10, so if Clarke, let's say the loose cannons, Paul Oyama and Eric Zipper, Clarke picks Oyama, she doesn't have to take Zipper, but she can if she wants to. So that's that. The top 5 teams are protected. That's what that means, and the champions are protected. Okay, David B. Music. If Clarke Wolfe did return to the Schmoedown as a full-time competitor in an alternate reality, what would she want her entrance music to sound like? I'm asking for a friend. So David B. does all the music now. He did the music for Rachel for the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, and so basically he's asking the same thing. When are you coming back out of retirement?
Yeah.
Not.
No, damn it.
Not.
Damn it, I tried it. I think we brought. Yes, you know what
we're
it is.
breaking all
RBD.
the
Break the camera.
No, I think it's the AC. We got to turn the AC on. Just try to do that. I know it's freezing.
It
but
was freezing
I
this
know.
morning
It's
in
gonna
LA.
be-
The
it's-
people who live in the
I know, it's
Midwest.
It's gonna be colder. Ben, can we turn the AC?
I love
You got it.
I love how all the questions are like, so if my one wish came true and Clarke Wolfe returned to the Schmoedown.
Yeah, no, it's true. Sean Cartier says, hope you guys had a wonderful Thanksgiving. I love seeing Clarke on. She's always so delightful. And about The Irishman, while I love Scorsese and think the film was okay, it wasn't even nearly his best. I agree a lot that it was a rehash, like a 45 minutes of it could have been cut out. It was a little long.
I agree with Ben Bateman, who said it was offensively long.
Yeah. All right. There you go.
I was like, Ben Bateman,
Hilarious.
you got me there.
Yeah, Lydia Aaron says, hey guys, I'm really excited for the manager draft pick. One thing I'm wondering about is how the managers will deal with handling 10 people under their watch. Depending on how involved they get, I wonder if some managers might feel overwhelmed. I think that's kind of what you were just saying.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
it's a commitment. It's a legitimate commitment if
Yeah.
you want to really do it right and you want to win.
Yeah.
Especially if you want to end the people, and that's
Especially
the
if
other
you
thing.
don't want your little sister to cry.
And also
Yeah.
that. I don't
Well,
want to make people cry.
And if you didn't know that about Clarke just from watching her compete, she's very competitive. And I think that if she was a manager, you would see like these players would get so much better because she would teach them their knowledge. And I think a lot of these managers will do that. And our 10th manager will be revealed at Spectacular. So make sure you check that out. Reagan Weatherford. Hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving with family and friends. All of you have spread joy into mine, and so many every Monday through Friday. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
Okay,
Yeah, that is nice.
let's see. Okay, and this is Andrew DeMolanta, the Star Wars competitor. It's great to see the classy one on the show. Clarke and Rachel are my wife's favorite competitors. We can't wait to meet them in person in January for the draft and when Harloff buys drinks from me and Ben. Well, you cheated. He cheated. Yeah.
I was talking to him. I was playing yesterday, and I was
he
talking to him
cheated.
in the chat, and he was like, "Oh, I'm way ahead of you." And then an hour later, he tweeted that picture out, like that he was done. Like
Yeah,
he made the bet on
so
Wednesday, and
it
he
was
was
a- it was
80%
So
done.
he made a
Yeah.
bet with us that basically said, "So let's see, because I have kids and Ben is terrible at the game. Let's see who finishes the game first, and we'll get drinks." He was like 75% done with the game.
What is
already.
the game?
Fallen Order, the
Oh,
Star
oh,
Wars one.
Gotcha,
So he
gotcha,
was-
gotcha.
So, but I'll still pony up because you know you sideswiped us
Also,
there.
yeah.
It's like,
Tim
hey,
Long.
who's gonna finish this race first? By the way, I'm on the final lap.
Right. And then we had Reagan Weatherford again. Thank you so much for everyone. I read that one. Homar says, "You're a yo Kristian. Are you ever going to tell us why you and Knapsack think that Bob Iger purposely fucked over John Carter for Star Wars?" I don't know what that means. I don't know enough about that story. I mean, I guess he didn't like John Carter.
John Carter's a good movie.
I like John Carter. Yeah,
Oh,
I
you
did
three
too.
have spoken.
yeah, I like that one. I don't know what that.
I have spoken.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Spoken.
I
Can't
don't.
see you, so.
I don't know enough about it.
I think what they're getting at is that John Carter is source material that a lot of people say Star Wars is like loose. Star
Yeah,
Wars is
sure.
an amalgamation. So the idea that like somebody would want to tank that so that
Star Wars. Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't know enough about it. I guess maybe it's in his book or something too. I got to read it. I don't know.
I just made that up.
No,
so
it makes sense.
But I don't know if that's what it
That's
really
a sensible
means.
connection. No,
But that's what I gathered.
That's
right.
an informed.
Pac-Man Dune. I just started doing stand-up, and I just bombed on stage a couple of days ago. So the question is, how do you get over your first bomb? Because I'm not good at feeling.
Make everyone sign an NDA.
Well done, Wolf.
Nice.
I'm not too good at feeling. I'm not feeling good right
that
now.
wins the day.
Yeah. Thanks for all the advice, Harloff. Can you do this shit rat face for me? It makes me smile. Yes. Yeah.
You're gonna bomb, dude.
You're gonna bomb, dude. That's part of it. That's part of
Dudette or whatever.
So look, do better, whatever.
No, dudette. I said dude or dudette.
Oh, I thought you said do better.
Next time, do better.
No, it's that's the worst part about it. Is that here's the thing: when you go up, it's that feeling like, why do I do this?
Yeah.
But it's that same feeling when you do well. They're like, oh, this is why I do this. And then and I think it's similar to like a Schmoedown win as opposed to a loss. Like there was times when you, I can't even tell you how many people have told me after a loss, I don't think I want to do this anymore. I can't do that. I've had conversations with you like that. Just like I don't want to do this. I think that's it. And then they have that other win. They go, okay, I'll do it again. Until it's that same feeling of coming from the bomb.
To play devil's advocate,
Yes.
I do think that bombing, it is part of you could be the greatest comedian ever and you will bomb. I do think that if you find that you are only bombing, you get up repeatedly and you're only bombing, I do think there is a lesson there too.
You need to rework some stuff, or maybe it's not for you.
It's maybe not for you.
Right.
And I think that's the thing. Like, that's why I'm sort of think it's so dangerous to say, like, oh, I don't want to hear what my audience has to say about my show.
Sure,
Because it's
sure.
like, you should be listening to your audience.
Yes.
You should be getting feedback.
I don't disagree with any of that.
Yeah.
Okay, so
But I'm not saying that this
No, I know you
gentleman
mean.
or lady is
Ookie
going to bomb
Cookie.
consistently.
Who's the strongest person or the best fighter that's part of the Schmoedown? I'm talking about physical, not trivia. Probably have to say Jay Washington,
Jay
right?
Washington.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Probably hard. I mean, yeah. I mean,
Who's gonna
he's
beat Jay Washington?
He's a professional
Me.
wrestler. Yeah. He's a professional wrestler, man. I mean,
Yeah.
and
I
he's
said it on Twitter. I didn't know how far into Fallen Order I was. We can alter the deal to me 100 completing the game before you guys finish the game.
Yes, Andrew. No, I'll still pony up. That's fine.
But they're going to call you a cheater.
But here's what I'm going to do, because we do have a
Publicly
lot
first.
of these left too, and I don't want to keep these guys here that long. What I'm going to do is we will get through as many more of the Streamlabs, and I haven't even got to any of the Super Chats. So what I'll do is I will, tomorrow, starting out the show, I'm going to read everyone's Super Chat that didn't get their Super Chat answered today. I'm going to start the show out with that. So let me just answer a couple more of the Streamlabs, and then we'll call it a day today.
We had to have a big fight.
I know.
earlier,
That's
so
what happened. That's
it's-
exactly what happened.
Sorry, that took up time.
Villanelle. I love Clark's name origin. It's similar to Rooney Mara. Clarke, have you seen Servant on Apple Plus? The producer is M. Night, and I think you'd like it.
No is the answer. I haven't seen anything on Apple Plus
Yeah.
actually, but I follow Knight on social media and he's been posting a lot of it. So I will definitely.
You'll check it out.
Are you a
Knight.
Knight
Yeah,
fan?
I am.
You are. I
Yeah.
love it.
I am.
Yeah.
Merc with
I know that
Movie
makes me
Blog put in a
basic, but-
Schmoebot. So did Ryan Payne and Villanelle again. I remember a while ago Kristian mentioned being a tougher critic on comedy films. Do you think it's because you are a comedian? Brett and Kate, do you also find you're tougher on comedy films? And what's the last one that made you cry laughing? Definitely tougher on comedy films, and I think that's maybe because you just see so much of it. And you learn rhythm, and I'm sure you for you, you're probably very tough on horror films. You know, it's
Yeah, I mean, I'm a fan of most cinemas, so
Yeah.
I feel like it's across the board.
yeah.
I do feel like I feel more confident to criticize something that I understand.
Right. Okay.
I don't know that
Yeah.
I don't know that I could say, with any certainty, like, oh, this horror film, or because that's just not something. I mean, I enjoy them,
Yeah.
but I don't have the expertise that would give me the confidence to be like, well, I really feel like this beat,
Right. All right.
I laughed my ass off.
Oh, which
Jojo
one?
Yeah.
I
Oh,
need.
need to
I
see
gotta
it.
watch.
Just
Okay.
see it with a crowd
Yeah.
too,
Yeah.
because laughing with a crowd
I gotta see
is
it.
just
I have it.
and I cried a lot. Like
Yeah.
you will laugh and
Yeah.
cry a lot.
All right, I gotta see it.
So
The
it
last
is
one I
so
laughed at-
funny.
I don't remember the last one I really laughed that hard.
Cried laughing,
Probably
yeah.
cried laughing.
Yeah, that's
I remember Steve Carell doing that Bruce Almighty thing when he was. It was pretty fun. Wog, the great Wog,
Bridesmaids.
0521. Who doesn't give Classy Clarke love? She was so welcome to me at Schmoedown event in LA. That's why my IG picture has her and Kristian on it. I love you guys. Will, I love you too, Will.
Thank
Thank
you, Will.
Anthony Nugent put in the Schmoebot. Sam,
Anthony, what time is it there? I actually
seriously,
legitimately want to
Australia.
know this.
Yeah, and then
They're
Let us
17 hours ahead of us.
Okay.
Oh,
Oh, wow.
wow.
Yeah,
Oh.
they're in the next day.
Happy Tuesday.
Sammy. Hi, I love Frozen 2's Into the Unknown, but I feel that Show Yourself is the real star of the movie. Had me crying in the theater. Also, what do you guys think if Panic at the Disco's version of Into the Unknown?
I really liked it and thought it was
Did you?
Adam
I
Lambert.
didn't see it. Did you? I
It's
didn't
over
see
the
it.
end closed credits.
Oh, okay.
And
So you-
It's really, really good.
I legit thought it was Adam
I
Lambert.
thought it was Fall Out Boy.
Oh, okay. No, I didn't tell. Okay, good. Oh, there you go. So Clark and Ben loved it. He's singing in the same key as Adina. And last
wow.
one here
That's
for the
amazing.
Streamlabs pity party.
Wow.
I just watched
Makes
short
her
term.
less impressive.
Yeah, I just watched short term 12, and Kate really looks like Brie Larson. By the way,
That is so nice.
There you go.
She
I'm
is.
the labor lady, and my name is Dylan. Yeah.
Dylan.
Will Clark
hi.
be there when Kristian finally watches The Thing? And what classic films have you guys putting off seeing for no reason? So if
I'm a jump in on this one because as I have told Kristian many times, it is not my job to beg you to watch great movies. If you want to make this a thing,
Yeah.
you go with God. I am not trying to convince anybody to watch great movies.
I understand.
So no, I will not be there. And
a
no,
push
I will
down.
not pat him on the back if and when he finally does it. Get it together.
that's true. What have you missed? Classics.
So many
Yeah,
things.
that's right.
I
That's
like so many things.
That's right. So don't tell me.
No, but the thing is, nobody is. I haven't gotten anybody to beg
I know
me
it's
to.
a, it's a shtick
We've been
thing.
begging him to watch the thing for like 10 years.
I know, and
True.
it's dumb.
I know it's true. All right, last one here for Streamlabs, and then we'll read all the super chats tomorrow. I promise. as we
Dylan, I
start.
hope you're doing well.
Jim Mason, Kristian, I say this with love. Your hat really needs a lint roller. Yeah, it's true. Keep up the great work. Yes, it was buried today. You don't know what I go through in the morning. Give me a break. All right, I wanted to thank
After you
everybody.
called
here.
me out on Collider for having wrinkles.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so very much, everybody, for joining us today, and thank you to Classy Clarke Wolfe
Oh my
once
God.
again.
Thank you guys so much for having me
Yeah.
and for making me feel so welcome. And I'm
Yes.
so glad I got to do this.
Yes,
This was
tell
great.
them once again where to find your podcast and everything else, and your DC show and all that.
Yeah,
sort of
yeah, you
DC
can
Daily.
DC Daily. You can find me at Clarke Wolfe, Clarke with an E, Wolf with an E. DC Daily is on Monday through Friday on the DC Universe platform, but it is in front of the paywall. So if you go to DCUniverse.com, you can find it there in front of the paywall. Me, Hector Navarro, Sam Levine. It's such a great crew. And Sending, SENDING, The Wolf is the name of my podcast, and you can find it on, Stitcher and Apple and my website, clarkwolf.com.
Well, thank
Thank
you.
you guys again for
you,
having me.
Clarke Wolfe.
Truly, you
Thank
guys
you to-
made me feel so welcome, and I'm glad I got to do this.
Anytime. Please come back. There it is. Thank you so much, guys, for joining us. Once again, I will get to everyone's super chat questions tomorrow to start the show. I promise. These two knuckleheads, you'll be back tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Ben Goddard will be here. RB3 will be here tomorrow. Tomorrow's guest. Who do we have tomorrow on? We have a really good guest tomorrow. I just can't remember who it is. All right. Ellis is on. Ellis and Bateman are on tomorrow. All right, guys. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Make sure get those tickets to schmoedownlive.com. Expo tickets almost gone. General admission, couple left, but Schmoedown Spectacular. You don't want to miss it. See you tomorrow.